I'm gonna go right on into it. Let's go.
Happy Thursday. What do I have for you? Well, Pam Bondi has been fired. That's obviously big news. I guess it's good. Probably will be replaced with somebody worse. I don't know. But I'm still wondering how Blake Neff is still employed. Blakey Neff, he is my favorite of the shady bunch over at Turning Point USA because I just don't know how he does it, right? He is just so notably and publicly emotionally immature that he makes what we do fun here. He gets angry, he lashes out, he says stuff, and inevitably he always just kind of makes things worse for them. It's like watching reruns of Tom and Jerry. Like, we know how it ends, but Tom's got a Tom, Blake's got a Blake, you know? Also, it is high time before we go on break next week that we begin delicately prodding the narrative that Erica was with her mother receiving treatments when she got the call from Mikey McCoy that Charlie had been shot. I have been quietly investigating that in the background, and I'd like to tell you what I have thus far discovered. So let's get into it. Welcome back to Candace. Okay, first and foremost, I wanted to provide you guys with a fun little update because yesterday we told you about decoy boy number 2, Zachariah Qureshi. He was detained. Kash Patel shut down the investigation for an hour and a half, and then he was released, and we weren't told much more. We revealed to you, and that was obviously in large credit due to Baron Coleman, that his dad is an 06 in the Navy. I guess he's in the Navy Reserves part-time. Mitch Snow saw a meeting concluding in Fort Huachuca the day before, and he said there were a lot of 06s. And I sort of wondered out loud whether or not Daddy Qureshi had any connections to Fort Huachuca via his Built app that he co-founded, which I am told and now understanding is exactly for mission prep, like has the ability to create a real 3D visual walkthrough. So you could, in this example, you could see without being in Utah where Charlie was going to be sitting, where you were going to take him and drive him to Timpanogos Hospital, which door you were going to go through at Timpanogos if you were prepping for a mission. That app would come in handy. Now, again, can't say that's what it was used for, but what I can state is that someone else is in Ahmed Qureshi's family, and Tor Qureshi is his name. And he was, in fact, stationed at Fort Huachuca. Same family. According to Tor Qureshi's LinkedIn, he trained there using reconnaissance drones. He trained how to use reconnaissance drones. So I just thought that you should know that it really is like a military family affair surrounding this event. Anyway, now quickly switching gears here to the topic of the day surrounding this event. Anyway, same family. According to Tor Qureshi's LinkedIn, he trained there using reconnaissance drones. He trained how to use reconnaissance drones. So I just thought that you should know that it really is like a military family affair surrounding this event. Anyway, now quickly switching gears here to the topic of the day. So there is something about a guilty conscience it causes people to overthink unnecessarily, right? They scheme, they plot, they're trying to fill in holes in a narrative. They're trying to be prepared. They don't really pause to consider that sometimes with too many details or overthinking things and saying too much, you kind of incriminate yourself, right? It's unnecessary complexity that is added to an issue. Too many details. What transpires is something that is known as mythomania. I learned this word today. That's our vocab word of the day, mythomania. Definition of that is it is an unusual or pathological tendency to exaggerate or tell lies. Okay, example, I would say Bibi Netanyahu, right? Perfect example of this, overthinking, making things complex. When Charlie died, his team, they were thinking too hard. They were like, okay, so here's what we're gonna do. So people definitely don't think it's you. As soon as he gets shot, you should tweet, even before the president of the United States, that you're praying for Charlie. That will definitely remove suspicion. If you tweet first, even though you're fighting this massive war everywhere and this isn't your country, if you tweet first, you're praying for Charlie, that will, no one will think it was you. Narrator, people did in fact find that tweet to be remarkably suspicious. And then his team were overthinking some more, and they were like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. Then the very next day, we'll get you on Fox, where you should passionately deny that you killed him. That will definitely remove suspicion. Narrator, it most certainly did not remove any suspicion.
Sure did
Again,
not.
they went a little too complex, right? Similarly, when I sat down with Erica Kirk on December 15th, I had a very short list of questions, like I told you, that I was seeking clarity on. I did not, you'll recall, back in December, think that Erica was a part of any plot to assassinate her husband.
You sure did
Did I
not.
think some of her actions and movements were strange? Sure. But I was being very empirical, just following what was in front of me, following the proof that I had, and Erica had not told any verifiable lies to the public until right before we met. She publicly told Glenn Beck that she had Charlie's phone, and he did not text people the night before saying that he was fearful of his life. That was kind of, for me, the first, It was a disastrous PR campaign altogether that week, which ended with her alongside Barry Weiss. That was weird to me. My antenna started going up. But when I went into that meeting, nonetheless, I had very pure intentions. I just wanted to seek clarity. At no point on my podcast prior to that moment had I attacked Erica, nor, and this is perhaps more crucial, nor did I ever question whether or not Charlie wanted her to become the CEO, okay? Frankly, my thought when they announced her as CEO was that was probably for the public, It's like this, everyone's so emotional, everyone feels all over the place. It was supposed to be this emotional, feel-good, hey, we're making a public decision, Charlie is gone, but his legacy is going to live on through his wife. And I thought that she's probably not really going to be the CEO. She's kind of just more kind of be the icon, and Justin Strife is probably going to be running things behind the scenes. So I was very caught off guard and surprised when, during our meeting, out of nowhere, they pulled out a piece of paper, which they had printed out, and they said, oh, this is a transcript of what Charlie said when he named Erica, said that he wanted Erica to take over for him in the event that he dies. I was like, huh? And they were going to hand me the transcript. I was like, I haven't even talked about this at all on my show. I don't need that. And I was surprised because I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for proof of that. Didn't make any claims about that. But they, for some reason, wanted to clarify that, to put that on record, something that didn't really need clarification. Why were they overthinking that? So, of course, the opposite thing happened, where for the first time, I thought, is there something weird about that? Did Charlie say that? And Erica had previously, before I sat down with her, confirmed that there was a video of this moment, a video of Charlie just weeks before he died saying that he wanted her to take over the company. Stunning, a stunning claim for two reasons right off the bat. One, because Charlie Kirk, on every stage that he was ever on, repeatedly said that women should not aspire to climb the corporate ladder and to become CEOs because that is not fulfilling, right? He said over and over again that home life was of more substance, of more value. He said this even beside Erica, in front of Erica, across from Erica. They together spoke about the mistake of women thinking that they could have it all. And he was speaking about that, to be sure, in an environment where there were two living parents. So even with two living parents, Charlie stated profusely to his audiences that women should not strive toward corporatism, right? We all agree. Now suddenly we're being told by Erica.
I think taxes are something that makes all of us panic, whether or not you want to admit it. Being able to pass
that privately, and also just a couple of weeks before he died, Charlie had completely reversed course, and he did that again in a private setting in front of his donors. He just did a 180, and within kind of the most dramatic situation imagined. He was saying, if I die, which would reduce our children to having just one parent, I would want at that moment my wife to step up and to assume the role of CEO, and that's certainly what Erica Kirk told Megyn Kelly on November 24th. Take a listen.
In August, before all this happened, he had a event where he had some donors at, and one of the first questions they asked was, God forbid if something happens to you.
Yeah.
what would happen next to Turning Point? And Charlie made a really interesting point. He said companies, example, Apple, Macintosh, he said they're founder led. He said, but what I have built will one day, if I'm not around, be vision led. And he had made mention at the end, Erica will do a great job running it. And when I watched that video this week, it really put into perspective my youth and what I went through growing up and what I witnessed, my mom having her own company and being a single mother and watching her be the blueprint of, I'm not afraid of raising my children alone because I saw my mom do that. I'm not afraid of being a CEO because I saw my mom do that.
Okay, so now it's kind of tracking for me why she started saying that her mother grew up as a single mother. She never did. I told you Erica had a bonus parent. She always had a stepfather in the home when her parents divorced, and her father was always in her life. But I see now we're curating for this moment of becoming the CEO, and this feels too timely, right? This investor meeting, which she's referring to, just so you know, took place from August 15th to the 17th in Aspen. So this was a mere 3 weeks before Charlie died. And making matters more interesting was AMFest. This is Turning Point's big year-end event. They decided to premiere Charlie saying this, but audio only. Okay, so they stripped the video and used just the audio as Erica's walkout music. They used what they are alleging is Charlie's voice, but no video. That's a very curious decision because if you do in fact have a video of Charlie naming his wife to the position of CEO, wouldn't that be the most powerful footage that you could possibly release to get the public to rally behind her? Everyone's missing him. They're missing his voice. Wouldn't that be like the first thing you did? How powerful would it have been to have a video running and then you see Charlie and he's like, I want my wife to be the CEO if I die, right? And so I'm wondering what would possibly guide your decision to only release the audio? And I'm going to allow you to listen to that audio. And I want you to listen.
Little Red Riding Hood. Let's start the story a different way. It was dark inside.
Y'all please hit the like button, double tap the face of your screen.
Carefully to the audio, okay? Listen carefully to the audio. Take a listen.
A lot of this could be done without me, and I believe that. I mean, from the high school department, the college department, let's make Turning Point so big that it can survive beyond just the founder. A lot of organizations...
And he's like, I want my wife to be the CEO if I die, right? And so I'm wondering what would possibly guide your decision to only release the audio? And I'm going to allow you to listen to that audio. And I want you to listen carefully to the audio, okay? Listen carefully to the audio. Take a listen.
A lot of this could be done without me, and I believe that. I mean, from the high school department, the college department, let's make Turning Point so big that it can survive beyond just the founder. A lot of organizations and groups, as soon as a founder leaves, it just kind of collapses. A lot of my job is not always in the day-to-day details. It's very much vision casting, very much driving success. But we have a great board, and God forbid if something happens, they'll figure it out. I appoint my wife to run Turning Point USA if something happens to me. Erica would do a great job.
Just sort of a weird ending there, no? Answering the question, we have a great board, they'll figure everything out, and then suddenly I appoint my wife. So, great board, I appoint my wife to do if anything happens to me. It seems out of place. At the very least, we can determine that is clearly an edited audio. That's very clearly edited audio.
Hey, Belinda.
So I set about, just sort of after I met with her, reaching out to people that attended that event, trying to figure out, okay, who attended this event, what was their memory about this event? And I spoke to a total of 4 people, and I can tell you that 3 out of the 4 people, and one was a couple, did not remember Charlie saying this. They did not remember Charlie Kirk saying this. And the 4th person, or rather couple, who said that they did remember it, and without giving you guys alluding to any further details, they would be considered a conflicted witness because they have ties to Turning Point outside of a donor relationship, okay? So I found that to be very compelling. That's not something you forget. She said it's the first question he's asked. Hey, you're 31. What happens if you die? What do you want to happen if you die? That does not seem doesn't ring true to me. Okay. Anyway, so yesterday, Blake Neff, he went to, or maybe it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before yesterday, he went to Arizona State University, and somebody asked him a question and really kind of took them to the cleaners, just saying like, look, Turning Point's got some shady connections. Erica used to be in a CIA video. You seem to be reversing course on everything that Charlie wanted. And like, what's up with this? What's going on here? And Blake Neff was very emotional as he always is. And he went on to emphatically insist that Charlie desperately wanted Erica to be his successor. I want to take a listen to what Blake Neff said back to the student.
The reason Erica is front and center at Turning Point.
I like making my podcast. I don't like making short clips of my podcast. So the AI chooses the best clips, like maybe this one.
Is because when Charlie was alive, people repeatedly asked, Charlie, we're worried something will happen to you. People always speculated that something could happen to Charlie.
Wow.
And when he was asked, he would, first of all,
You guys know
he was
that's out
totally
again, right?
fearless. He would just say like, oh, it'll be fine. Erica will take over for me. That is what he said over and over. I saw them interact all the time, almost on a daily basis. Even when he was traveling, he was calling her all the time. He was talking to her all the time. Charlie and Erica were partners. They were husband and wife in a deep way. Their marriage was incredibly admirable. I've seen a lot of marriages. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Charlie and Erica's was exceptional. They were on the same wavelength. I saw how much that relationship, I didn't know Erica as well prior to Charlie's death, but especially in the wake of it, I saw how much everything he'd done meant to her and how completely committed she was to fulfilling his mission, what he had done in life, that she knew the life I thought I was going to live has changed very abruptly, but I am fearlessly going to embrace the new one because I know it's what I have to do for my husband and for his legacy. That is the reason she was put front and center. And she hasn't really. She's become the CEO of the organization because that is what Charlie wanted, and it's because I saw it with all the people who were senior at Turning Point. There wasn't even a question that that is what would happen. There was no one forcing this. There was no one pressuring it to happen. This is what everyone at Turning Point wanted to happen.
Yeah, I think the employees would say something else. But said another way, Blake is saying that Charlie prioritized his business above his family. Okay? That is what he's saying. That he often thought about what would happen if he died. And in Charlie's head, he wanted his children to be raised by nannies while his wife assumed his position of CEO. Even though his whole life he said, even if you're married and you're both alive, a wife shouldn't do that. But he was like, if I die, the most important thing is going to be making sure that this company continues. And Erica's the right person to do this. So he knew what that job consisted of. Traveling, working 80-hour weeks sometimes. That's what they are telling you. Charlie cared more about Turning Point USA than his own children's well-being. There is no other rational way to interpret, if I die, I want my wife to assume this role. So I thought, you know what? Blake shared that video publicly yesterday. I thought I'd politely ask Blake to maybe share the video of Charlie saying that. That this is like, hey, this could go a very long way. Here's what I said beneath the video that he shared on X. I said, I love this. Can you please release the video that you shot in Aspen of him naming her as his successor a couple of weeks before he died? I just feel like that would go a long way. And whoa, did he get back to me with something fierce. Some would say he got a little too complex, okay? He said this, Candace, we haven't bothered playing it because we know psychopathic predators like yourself do not care what is true or false, and normal evidentiary logic has no effect on you. You're the kind of person who sees coded messages in the number 33, but then ignores evidence like DNA on a rifle or Tyler Robinson's own family members turning him in. Playing the audio at MEMPHIS already was not enough. You'll obviously just say it's AI or a hologram or an Israeli actor or something, so what's the point? We gave up the possibility of any good faith conversation with you months ago. It's like trying to reason with a maniac, brandishing a knife and screaming at people on the subway. You are the same thing. Wow.
Oh my God.
Okay.
If that ain't a
What's
guilty
with that?
dog.
Never been compared to a maniac brandishing a weapon on a subway. Okay. First and foremost, 33 is, in fact, a Freemason degree. Not sure what that has to do with anything. It's a fact of life. I don't know why Kash Patel kept saying it, other than the fact that he was signaling to the public, to other Freemasons. Secondly, we have addressed the DNA on a rifle. Actually, you guys haven't. And I have been clear that it's actually you guys who refuse to tell the public that there were also 5 other sets of DNA found on the rifle. We know it's Tyler Robinson's rifle. We've never debated that. What we have said is that there is no evidence that that particular rifle was fired. And also, I have to ask the question, why are you bringing up AI? And am I hallucinating, or does Turning Point regularly share videos of Charlie Kirk all the time? So why is this particular one you're worried about people thinking it's AI? They even share outdated videos and try to pretend that he's supporting the Iranian war. Like, they're getting fact-checked on X because they're sharing outdated videos and misrepresenting Charlie's actual beliefs about the Iranian war. But now they're suddenly concerned that if they release one more crucial video, people will think it's a hologram or AI or an Israeli actor. Why does that feel more like a confession to me? Like they're trying to get ahead of something. Like this might be the reason they didn't release it in the first place. And also, was I like under the influence or high? Or was it not Erica, the CEO of Turning Point USA, and the team that guaranteed us that they were going to release tons of
I need
never
for y'all to
before
hit
seen
the like
speeches and
button.
videos? They had a whole supply of them. Can we run the clock back to 16 days after Charlie was killed and take a listen to them telling us that?
We need to be able to have people have a show where they can ask questions. Hey, I'm up against this. What would Charlie say? And we play a clip of what Charlie said a month ago, a year ago. We have decades worth of my husband's voice. We have unused material from speeches that he's had that no one has heard yet. We have Sunday specials lined up to the brim because my husband was so intentional about making sure that there was enough content. Always.
He made sure we recorded everything.
Everything.
He would not do a speech unless we could get the video and the audio.
100%. So we have speeches that no one's heard of. We have interviews that no one's heard of. We have stuff from Korea and Japan that no one's heard of.
Podcasts.
So, I mean, in the words of my husband, buckle up, because there is a lot of content to be had. And we have so many amazing things down the pipeline that we are working on currently that will
unveil in due time.
I am so excited.
Yeah.
Why is this not about Candace? What changed here? This is you guys making a promise that you were going to release Charlie. You've got his voice, you've got videos, you've got speeches, you've got never before seen everything. He's in Korea, he's with Mikey McCoy. Why is it suddenly that this one particular and most crucial video to your narrative, a video that you yourselves introduced into the public conscience, absent any pressure, nobody said, hey, we need to know that Charlie wanted this thing immediately. What's the story? Did he go and save us at a retreat 3 weeks before he died? We didn't put any pressure on you guys. You just casually mentioned and came up with a whole story that you had captured this video of Charlie's, one of his dying wishes, because that's a normal question for donors to ask to a 31-year-old man. Hey, what happens if you die? Who do you want to take over? Done a ton of donor events with Charlie, including ones in Aspen. Never heard this question ever, but I guess things changed. They had different concerns. And now I'm asking you guys the question, what changed that me simply asking for you to release this footage makes you angry? The mere idea of being asked to release this footage makes Blake angry. And to this analogy or accusation that's because you're afraid of a psychopathic predator like me brandishing a knife on the subway, I want to let you know I laughed so hard at this ex-user. His name is Sean. His immediate common sense response to this, because common sense is clearly lacking at Turning Point USA, he tweeted this. He said, if a maniac was brandishing a knife and screaming at people on the subway because they wanted me to send them a video, I would just send them the video. Like, yeah, man, okay. I'll be your brandishing knife psycho, like common sense here, fact, who's like, no, I'd rather die than show this psycho on the subway this video. Like, yeah, here you go. Here's a video. Like, chill, man. Nobody has to die today. Here it is. Here's my husband saying he wants me to take over the company. Show the video to the psychopathic dude. Blake. Okay? No one wants to die on the red line. I said, who wouldn't do it? Who wouldn't show the video? And then someone replied and said, the only person who wouldn't show the psychopath the video
Is the killer.
is the person who doesn't have it.
Oh.
Okay? That's the reality. That is the reality. Only the person who doesn't have it would not show him the video. And yeah, so I wanted to make that public demand because that now feels significant. It kind of locks another piece of the puzzle here with why Erica's story about her childhood seems to have changed. It's dishonest narrative, but she was raised with a single mom, and like they were just kind of again shape shifting a bit to get the public prepared for this moment or to accept this moment. And I'm asking also because I have a trick up my sleeve. As always, I would like to put Turning Point in a position where they share this video.
This family has been filling and filling their meal food recycler for a week now.
I personally think it went something like this. They were overthinking. Someone in the room was like, okay, but like then if we name Erica the CEO, like 48 hours later, then people might notice that Charlie, all that footage of him for years touring around the world, telling women to get married, raise kids, if they have a fulfilling life. Wouldn't it be weird if she suddenly then takes this position? Like people might wonder, hey, was that her plan all along? What should we do? Oh, okay, we need to have like audio prepared of Charlie saying he wanted her to take over. And we'll tell them that it was just like a totally normal, casual donor question that he said like all the time. He told us all the time. What happens if you die at 31? He was constantly thinking about dying and Erica taking over. And then we'll release the audio. And then we'll do some PR, like Netanyahu's team could do this for us. We're going to have Erica interviewed, and she'll tackle that question head on, seem like she is being forthright. Someone will ask her, hey, why the sudden 180? And she'll give a perfect, sensible answer, which I should mention she tried to do at the New York Times Book Summit when someone raised it. Take a listen.
You've urged, as he has, women not to delay building families.
I beg your pardon?
You've urged women not to delay
Yes.
having families.
Right.
And you've talked about serving your husband.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, he served me also. He would ask, how can I serve you? We would ask it to each other.
and a number of them said, please ask her how you think about your career, and now that you're going to be taking over Turning Point, and balancing family, and what your view is of that.
No, it's a great question. It's actually a very thoughtful question. I grew up with a mother who is an entrepreneur, who's her and I. My parents got divorced when I was very young, when I was 5. And I saw that as a blueprint. So that does not scare me, being a single mom, if you will, now, and running a company. There really is no such thing as balance. There's always going to be a give and take. But what this grieving process has taught me is that there is really no blueprint of what I'm going through. It's really a one-of-one type of situation. And it's interesting because when you view...
Is she answering the question? Is she trying to come up with something good to say so that she don't contradict what she's always said and preached before? Is it me? Or is that what she's giving? Hi, Gloria. What is she doing? Good question. Okay, so, okay, shut up, you lying. Come on, Candace.
Be a give and take. But what this grieving process has taught me is that there is really no blueprint of what I'm going through. It's really a one-of-one type of situation. And it's interesting because when you view...
Lord, help me come up with some words.
Can be morphed into a form of purpose that you see will outlive you. Again, it puts in a perspective that this isn't about me. This isn't about my life. This is about the legacy my husband left behind, but it's also about how we're fighting the good fight for our country. And when it comes to career, I will be fully transparent. I was fully bought into the boss babe. I mean, I lived in Manhattan. Charlie essentially plucked me out of the New York City orbit and was like, no, I have a healthier way of viewing things and looking at life and things like that.
I agree.
And he was right. He was right. And I I remember thinking, if I would have stayed on that path I was on, I would have lost out on some of the most beautiful moments of my life. Children, having a husband, being able to create and build something so incredible. And again, yes, balance is an illusion. I bring
watch
my
crime
children to the office.
investigations, and
I have them
you
with me
learn to
constantly.
read body
We have a
language and her
phenomenal
body language.
team that
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
just fall
I'm a
on my
body
shoulders.
language
Charlie was
reader.
very good about creating and intentionally building a machine where it turns from founder-led to vision-led. And he shared everything with me. I knew his goals. I knew what his vision was for things. So this is not out of my orbit. This is not uncomfortable for me. And it's not
No, that's
because I'm picking up a mantle that I understand.
that's not
And that
Drewski.
I know
Look at her.
that Charlie has entrusted to me, the team has entrusted to me, the Lord has entrusted to me, and I take that very seriously.
I mean, so many words used to say nothing. She's not answer the question. She did, what's referred to as the DC dip and twirl. If they give you a question you don't like, just keep talking and hope that people forgot the question that was
Absolutely.
initially
Hi,
asked,
Florence.
which is, aren't you kind of a hypocrite? Right? Aren't you a little bit of a hypocrite doing this? Well, there's so much happening. There's so much. And Charlie and I was in New York. And let me tell you a funny story about my mom in the 3rd grade. No answer. Because it is full
Not the
and it is
3rd
utter
grade.
hypocrisy. And again, it feels to me as though they had sort of prepped this. And I find it, am I wrong here? Do you guys agree? It's a little suspicious that they love releasing videos, the books, everything of Charlie Kirk. And yet here they have on camera, allegedly, his dying wish for Erica to take over if he dies young at the age of 31, which he then happened to do 3 weeks later, and they don't want to release it. And they're angry, if you ask. They're angry, you brandishing psychopathic subway killer. Seems a little suspicious. I'm going to leave it at that. And before I tell you something that's even more suspicious, did a lot of research into her day of alibi that she was with her mother, and I want to put out some feelers for you and let you know what we have discovered. We will do that when we come back from a quick break. All right, you guys, you see the headlines, you read the stories, and then the impact shows up in your own numbers. Balances are rising and fees are piling up. Minimum payments are designed to stretch to Candace. All right, you guys, let's get into Erica's story regarding her
Anna.
whereabouts on September 10th. Now, we've already
Can I get
established
y'all to
Erica
hit the
lies,
like button
and
for
she
me?
pivots and she edits, and then a bunch of people come out to protect her. She's got money. She'll get the PR to come. But I tend to agree, having looked
Double
into
tap
her
those
background
3
and her
dots at the
story
top
and
right
the manner in which she
corner.
lies, I tend to agree with the opinion, which was shared by Elizabeth Lane, that Erica has psychopathic
Can the
tendencies.
other ones
By the
that
way,
just come in?
Blake,
One
looking back
did.
at you,
Can
buddy.
can
Right?
the
I'm
other
not
people?
the one who
Yeah.
had an employer that got allegedly shot in front of my face, and I didn't think to call 911. I feel like that's a little psychopathic.
Thank
And
you,
just running to the back
Gloria.
of Mikey, and
Hi,
he calls his
Danny.
wife, and you call your mom, and no one calls 911. I feel like that's a little psychopathic. I feel like walking away calmly is like psychopathic vibes, going into the casket with your chief donor lady. That's a little psychopathic. I don't know. I'm not like an expert. I'm not Sigmund Freud. I'm not into, the Kabbalah and 33rd degree masonry, but that felt to me a little psychopathic. Anyway, regarding Erica's whereabouts on September 10th, I want to be super clear at first that I am not questioning whether or not
Maintenance in
Erica's mother
progress,
has an
no
illness. That has
wonder.
never been what I have been investigating. I have said many times that I've known it's been a discussion. I think Erica has even herself talked about her mother's Lyme disease in different settings. The reason why this is even significant is because it's a part of Erica's story, whether or not she was with her mother, as she says, on September 10th, when she received the news from Mikey McCoy that Charlie was shot. Because I cannot ignore my gut feeling that a person that will do that, have the chief fundraiser record you grieving over your husband, that they've got some tendencies to use emotion to manipulate people. And there was something that felt off to me about when I learned, after Charlie's assassination, the timing of her post 2 days prior to Charlie being shot, she posts this video of her mother looking tremendously frail and sick on the 8th, despite the fact that she had not posted her mother in years. It feels manipulative to me. It feels like providing the public with an unimpeachable boundary. Like, look at my mother in this state. Anything that I say that is attached to my clearly ailing mother cannot and should not be questioned because that would be immoral. Again, manipulative, highly manipulative, especially to post something like that without details. Okay, there's nobody worse on Instagram, and this is like a broader point, than people who post themselves and their arm and they're getting an IV and they put a verse and then they give you no further details. It's like just a cry for attention, right? It's never normal to do that without any details. And it also, in the context of Erica, makes it so that people will just fill in the blanks and assume the worst, right? To assume that something like maybe her mother's terminal. So we were initially told about Erica's whereabouts on September 10th, or at least I think this is the earliest I can remember. I'm sure Turning Point USA, and if you find clips of that, please send it to me. I know they were doing the rounds on the news, but I was not watching the news at that time. Erica sat down with the New York Times, as we have many times covered over, just days following the assassination, welcomed them into her and Charlie's apartment, and here's what they published verbatim. They wrote, "It had been Miss Kirk's plan to accompany her husband to Utah,
Hi,
but her
Ellen.
mother would be undergoing medical treatment in Phoenix area that same day. Home needs you," Mr. Kirk told her. They agreed that she would instead travel with him on the next leg of the tour to Colorado State University. So they're already kind of setting up right there, the whole reason she wasn't there was because her mother is so sick and she needed to be there. It continues. Ms. Kirk was sitting in her mother's hospital room at 11:23 a.m. local time in Phoenix when she saw the number of her husband's longtime assistant, Michael McCoy, appear on her phone. In retrospect, she said she knew the words, "He's been shot," before Mr. McCoy screamed them. Kind of weird. Not every day somebody gets shot. That's a political figure. I don't know. That just seems very strange to me. But that's her story. So they said the hospital. Again, we're going to have to assume now that this reporter is just writing whatever they want. The most crucial details, they're just effing up. And for whatever reason, we have a scenario where no one's moving to correct them. Okay? That was the
It's a
establishment that
stage
she was in the
alibi.
hospital. So it was this double whammy
Absolutely.
of she not only lost her husband, but she was just being this doting daughter and, standing by her mother's side. She's getting treatment and her mother looks like she might be dying. Again, these are psych games. Then we heard straight from Erica in November, a little more detail during her sit down with Jesse Waters. Here's what she told us.
How did you find out Charlie had been shot?
Was at my mom's doctor's appointment. I have my phone and I see the video come in of him flinging out the hats. And I said, "Mom, look, it started."
That was a cut there, too. Did you see that, Skylar?
So we saw the hats being flung. I put my phone down and it was on silent, so I had no reason to look back at it.
Did you see that?
I moved my mom. I went back to grab my phone, and that's when Mikey started calling me. He called me within seconds. "He's been shot. Get the kids. Get security. Get the kids. Get the kids. He's been shot." I sprinted out of her treatment center. I just collapsed in the middle of the parking lot. I called our security. Yeah. Unbelievable nightmare.
Okay, so a little bit more there. She got the call with Mikey. She collapses in a parking lot. Also, if you heard me speaking to Skylar, he has a producer's eye at the stuff. I think I noticed a cut, actually, because there was so much bizarre jump cuts in this interview. If you go back and watch it, clearly a lot of editing went into it. And there's also this bizarre, I think I saw a jump cut right when she says, "I was at my mother's medical appointment," and then it looks like they kind of patched it. But can you just play just the beginning again when she...
How did you find out Charlie had been shot?
Was at my mom's doctor's appointment. I have my phone and I see the video come in of him.
Was that a cut or
flinging
just
out
a
the
different
hats.
angle? Could be. Anyways, we
I
come out of
said,
that.
"Look, it started."
Anyway, the place in question, so then I started prodding, asking people, I was like, well, that's a pretty big event, right? A woman collapsing in a parking lot on a day, this is literally a day that will live in infamy. Everyone will remember where they were when they learned that Charlie Kirk had been shot. That's how big of an event this was. This is like 9/11. I'm sure JFK getting shot. Obviously, I was not alive for that, but like I can tell you exactly where I was during 9/11. I can tell you exactly where I was when Charlie got shot. And this is everyone. This has never been seen before, to watch somebody bleed out in that way. It is spread like fire. So even if you were someone who did not know who Erica Kirk was, if you got the news that Charlie had been shot and you then realized, oh my gosh, that's so funny, because then her face was everywhere, I just realized I must have seen Erica Kirk, because I was in my car. It's a massive parking lot where she's referring to, and I saw a woman collapse. And like that, she had blonde hair. Like, that's what I'm looking for. Like, there should have been a lot of eyewitnesses to this scene of a woman collapsing. It also would require, of course, if you collapse in a parking lot, that the nurses are going to come out, escort you back in. How are you going to get from that parking lot? Are they going to call the police? Who knows? So then I determined that the place in question is not a hospital at all. There's no way that anyone would describe it as a hospital. It would be more appropriately described as an IV therapy place. If you were going to compare it to anything, it is a holistic clinic, which is a good thing. I'm all for holistic medicine. So I just want to assert that it is not by any stretch of an imagination a hospital. And for sure, Erica's mother has in the past received treatments there. Okay, I was able to determine that factually she had. In fact, she went in for a treatment 2 days earlier on September 8th because people sent me records of that. Now, didn't ask for them, they sent it, didn't ask anybody to violate HIPAA, whatever, but I can confirm she was there on September 8th. Now, regarding the 10th, a very strange thing occurred. So we had put out an APB. Anybody that can confirm this. I'm looking for anybody in the parking lot, somebody that works there, somebody that maybe works adjacent to it. Please tell us, send us more tips at CandaceOwens.com. And what we received was a flurry of text messages from various nurses and people who are friends and family of nurses who received these messages, who alleged, initially, you could see this orbit that Erica was at this place when she got the news that she had collapsed in the parking lot. So I thought, great, now I'm getting closer. And in some of these messages, they said the nurses had to carry her inside. Great. But then when we pushed further, okay, we bit on the bait. We kept finding that the story fell through the cracks, meaning that everyone involved had heard it from someone. So you get a nurse, this nurse was there. We'd prod that nurse, oh, no, actually, I've just followed up with her, and now she's saying, here are the messages, that it was her colleague nurse was there, okay? We find the colleague nurse. This colleague nurse said this. Oh, actually, also, hers is not first person, it's another nurse. We were just going around in circles and kept pushing, going, everyone thinks another nurse saw it. Did it happen, or were they all told that it happened here? And the more we pushed, at long last, we had arrived at a more solidified story. At least it appeared ostensibly like a more solidified story, that actually they said, you know what, Erica was there, but she was in a meeting with the lead doctor in his office. Mm-hmm. Suddenly her mother had been completely removed from the story. Nobody would confirm Lori in the story. Now, the doctor in question, who I'm not going to name at this moment because we just went out with him because we feel confident in what we have been able to pull together, he and his wife are involved. He's involved, I should say, via his wife in politics, in a big way. Federal politics, I would say. And that is of some interest to me. Sure. On the other side of things, they certainly, I'm referring to him and his wife, told friends that Erica was in their office with a friend. To be clear, not with her mother, but with a friend. We also have a person who has come forward and they claim that Erica was with her security guard, Derek Neekirk, when she got the news, with her security guard, and they were explicit. She was not with her mother, okay? And lastly, we were given the name of a woman from Dassel, Minnesota, who has claimed that she, and not Erica, was with Lori when Lori got the news that her son-in-law had been shot. Again, I would like to stress here that across all of these testimonies, Erica and Lori are not together. I'm again going to also decline to name that woman in Minnesota because we have reached out now for comment. Suffice it to say that when we combine all these testimonies, the common theme, common denominator, if you will, is that Erica and Lori were apart on September 10th. So, a couple of questions. The doctor just say, you could say you were here. This will be an air-packed alibi. We will say I own the office. We're friends. I definitely can establish some connections between Turning Point USA and his wife, where his wife works. But that's one narrative that's running in my mind, is did they just say, well, say that's here and I will tell people, nurses, that you were here, and that's how this all spread through like wildfire, but no nurse was actually able to confirm that they themselves was there. We'll start the rumor, if you will, that you were here. That's one option. And another option is she was actually there and not with her mother and with Derek D. Kirk and in his office for some reason, taking a meeting. That's another option. But I feel on the basis of the legwork that we have done and how far we have investigated this and the people that we have spoken to with intimate knowledge, and of course, again, the lack of eyewitness to a woman collapsing in a parking lot on such a day that is, eternally downloaded in all of our minds, I feel it is very fair for me to state that I do not believe Erica was with her mother on that day. I believe that was a part of a narrative that was pre-sold to us and packaged beginning actually on September 8th with her post of her mother in a frail state. We will keep pushing. If you have any more information pertaining to what I just shared, please email us at moretips@CandaceOwens.com. Moretips@CandaceOwens.com. Okay, lastly, I am going to check here and see. I think we're running up on time. I do want to honorably mention that Pam Bondi was fired. Trump made the announcement on social media saying Pam Bondi is a great American patriot, a loyal friend who faithfully served as my attorney general over the past year. Pam did a tremendous job overseeing a massive crackdown in crime across the country, with murders plummeting to their lowest level since 1900. We love Pam, and she will be transitioning to a much-needed and important new job in the private sector, to be announced at a date in the near future. And our Deputy Attorney General and a very talented and respected legal mind, Todd Blanche, will step in to serve as Acting Attorney General. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Okay, now, people I think initially thought this must be related to her fumbling the Epstein files so hard. No, her and Trump are on the same team. When it comes to the Epstein files, please do not put that on Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi was doing as she was instructed to do by Trump's orbit of friends who are all in the Epstein files. They protected the Epstein files together, okay? It was under her watch, and because if that was the case, Kash Patel would be gone too. Under her watch and under Kash Patel's watch, that the Epstein files got released. And don't forget, because it kind of happened over Christmas, we never discussed it, that during that release, they even released a deep fake video of Jeffrey Epstein in his cell committing suicide. Did you guys remember this? This kind of was a blip because this all happened on December 23rd, a couple days before Christmas. Most people were on break. They released a fake video, and they got clocked on the fake video, and then they...
She switched gears on me.
Okay, lastly, I am going to check here and see. I think we're running up on time. I do want to honorably mention that Pam Bondi was fired. Trump made the announcement on social media saying Pam Bondi is a great American patriot, a loyal friend who faithfully served as my attorney general over the past year. Pam did a tremendous job overseeing a massive crackdown in crime across the country, with murders plummeting to their lowest level since 1900. We love Pam, and she will be transitioning to a much-needed and important new job.
She's gonna be out
in the
just
private
like
sector,
Noam.
to be announced at a date in the near future. And our Deputy Attorney General and a very talented and respected legal mind, Todd Blanche, will step in to serve as Acting Attorney General. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Okay, now, people I think initially thought this must be related to her fumbling the Epstein files so hard. No, her and Trump are on the same team. When it comes to the Epstein files, please do not put that on Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi was doing as she was instructed to do by Trump's orbit of friends who are all in the Epstein files. They protected the Epstein files together, okay? It was under her watch, and because if that was the case, Kash Patel would be gone too. Under her watch and under Kash Patel's watch, that the Epstein files got released. And don't
What are you
forget,
saying, lady?
because it kind of happened over Christmas, we never just announced at a date in the near future. And our Deputy Attorney General and a very talented and respected legal mind, Todd Blanche, will step in to serve as Acting Attorney General. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump.
Help me reach this
people I
hour's
think initially
goal.
thought this must be related to her fumbling the Epstein files so hard. No, her and Trump are on the same team. When it comes to the Epstein files, please
they
do
both
not
are
put
in
that on Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi was doing as she was instructed to do by Trump's orbit of friends who are all in the Epstein files. They protected the Epstein files together, okay? It was under her watch, and because if that was the case, Kash Patel would be gone too. Under her watch and under Kash Patel's watch, that the Epstein files got released. And don't forget, because it kind of happened over Christmas, we never discussed it, that during that release, they even released a deep fake video of Jeffrey Epstein in his cell committing suicide. Do you guys remember this? This kind of was a blip because this all happened on December 23rd, a couple days before Christmas. Most people were on break. They released a fake video and they got clocked on the fake video. And this kind of was a blip because this all happened on December 23rd, a couple days before Christmas. Most people were on break. They released a fake video and they got clocked on the fake video. This kind of was a blip because this all happened on December 23rd, a couple days before Christmas. Most people were on break. They released a fake video and they got clocked on the fake video.
Jennifer.
And then they removed the fake video and refused to comment on it. Yeah, because Jeffrey Epstein is clearly alive. Okay?
Absolutely.
He's wake up. He is alive. It was an Israeli operation to get him out of there.
Well, unless he done got caught up in that Israeli stuff,
photos in the
war.
story. This New York Post, for all intents and purposes, just a Mossad outfit. Okay, they work on behalf of Israel. Oh, the New York Post exclusively finds Ghislaine Maxwell.
Hey, Lopez,
every single
he
time
don't like
it's the New
you
York Post.
either.
And so,
He ready to deport you and your ancestors.
this is not the reason she's being fired. We then learned actually
You
that
must
the
think you
that
special, A.
Trump fired her
Lopez.
is because he's upset with her because he believes that she is the
You
one
gonna
that
find out
tipped
the
off
hard way.
Eric
If he have
Swalwell
his
regarding
way, you better not let the police
investigation
get you slipping.
into his relationship. You know, he was
Your
dating
ass
the
is
Chinese
outta here.
spy girl. And so apparently the FBI was sort of preparing a bunch of
Your ass
documents
is outta
relating
here.
to his relationship with Christine Fang. And Trump believes that she intervened and tipped him off, and he was angry with her. So it's like, you're not loyal to me, even though she's like, hey, you know, I kind of backed you up on Jeffrey Epstein, but you know how Trump is. You're in or you're out, and if you don't worship the ground he walks on and do everything he says, then you got to go. So Trump needs a better dog, essentially. And she is sleazy, obviously, and so I don't know why he's shocked. You're all sleazy. Everybody is sleazy post Epstein, but don't get excited, guys. It certainly is not related to Trump doing the right thing. Don't be confused and think that he did the right thing and realize that they fumbled the Epstein ball, even though that's how they're going to want to play it to the public, because the other part sounds much more petty, and that's why it's buried deep in all of the articles about what happened with Eric Swalwell. So I wanted you guys to know that everything is still tremendously fake and gay, and we are being ruled by elites, people who deem themselves to be elites, but are actually kind of just deranged and disgusting. So there is that. We'll take a brief break before I get to some of your comments. All right, you guys, Pure Talk was one of the first companies I ever endorsed almost 5 years ago, and I wanted to work with a wireless company that shares my values. Pure Talk is veteran-led, so helping veterans is their North Star. They have donated over $500,000 to America's Warrior Partnership, a fantastic organization that is on the front lines of preventing veteran suicide. And Pure Talk creates American jobs with a U.S.-only based workforce. Sure, it would be a lot cheaper to send jobs overseas like other companies do, but they are committed to delivering the best experience possible for their customers. I love Pure Talk's service. They give you the same towers, the same network, the same 5G coverage as one of the big guys, but just for a fraction of the cost. I choose to do business with a company that shares my values, supporting veterans every single day and creating American jobs. You should make the switch today. Head to puretalk.com/Owens. Again, that's puretalk.com/Owens. I also want to remind you guys about American financing because
it don't matter. They're looking. Do you understand that ICE is walking up and down the streets looking for someone who looks like they are foreigners, whether they have papers or not? Don't be fooled. As far as they are concerned, you are an alien. Remember, they're walking up and down the streets looking for people who look like they are foreigners. They don't care if you are legal or illegal. So you're sadly mistaken. Reach out to some of your friends that have been deported. I bet you they tell you a different story. So I'm going to go ahead and remove you because you're delusional. And I can't deal with delusion. Let's go.
Carried a bullet analysis thing, and no one will notice. We discontinued it because we needed it.
But hit the like button.
And there's actually more evidence. I'm not even kidding. Or you could say the same amount of evidence, an absence
Trump ain't
of evidence
said
that Charlie.
nothing about
there's no evidence
that
Charlie was
wall
even
in
shot.
years.
There's no evidence Charlie was even shot.
He building a wall
It doesn't
in
make sense for saying we cut him
Israel.
open, went to his stomach, and
With
what?
the
You got one little
Israelis.
fragment. Is that the news story they're
Shit.
telling? First, it was
He's
the
trying to
bullet.
build up
It fragmented.
the
There should
East
be a lot of
Wing.
fragments.
Yeah,
I
these
am looking
people are so
forward
delusional.
to the defense getting the files from the ATF that they are requesting. You know, not just a summary, but the actual files, the pictures,
Right,
the photos. I want to see
The
what it is that they are
Osaka.
claiming
He don't care nothing about that
was
wild.
found in Charlie's
He care
thorax.
more about the East
Or was
Wing
his thorax that was
ballroom.
under his skin. You know, the story changes all the time. It's like like I said, little edits. Mikey called me within seconds. Oh, actually, no, Mikey did not call you within seconds. Mikey called his wife. It seems like they were kind of already on the phone so quick. And then he three-wayed you minutes later. Like, why is everybody, like, just slightly adjusting? Why did nobody mention his wife before that? Isn't that kind of weird? Kind of like left Elizabeth McCoy out of the story. And then, like, suddenly, like, oh, actually, there's one more thing. Did Charlie train Mikey McCoy to call his wife? That's weird. That was the initial narrative. They had to edit it after. Like, that, Mikey did exactly what he was supposed to do. He was amazing. He
He's
didn't call around when he turned around and did
amazing.
what Charlie wanted him to do. He called his wife. And we're not supposed to notice all of these slight little edits. I notice. I'm keeping track, keeping a list. Like I said, I've got some more tricks up my sleeve. We Writer was the second biggest comment, most liked comment. He wrote, Trump is implying someone is jealous of Erica because they are investigating her husband's.
Jeez, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. Let me go over here real quick and simple.
Ellie Honig is here with us in our fifth seat, former federal prosecutor in his own right. Ellie, she's in the unenviable position of being hated by a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. What do you think is the real reason that she shouldn't have a job right now?
Well, the reason she shouldn't have a job or the reason she doesn't have a job? The reason she shouldn't have a job is because she carried out Donald Trump's overtly political agenda to prosecute people who wronged him politically. The reason she doesn't
And
have
he
a
didn't
job
win
is
it.
because she wasn't good enough at it. And I do think Pam Bondi can perhaps be a source of cross-ideological...
Yeah, because they said that was
Some
fussing.
major breaking news here. Donald Trump has fired Pam Bondi from her role as Attorney General. Trump took to Truth Social writing, quote, Pam Bondi is a great...
It's official. Pam Bondi is out as Attorney General. Trump announced today that she'll be transitioning to a new job in the private sector. In
What's
other
the
words,
private sector?
She's been canned. And there were a lot of reasons to fire Pam Bondi. There were plenty of moments from her ignominious career and tenure as
What you
Attorney
mean the
General
private
that you could choose
sector?
from. But there was one moment that I couldn't stop thinking
She
about
has to
today.
go on
Happened back in February when
and
Bondi
be an
was
attorney
asked
for whoever.
in Congress why she had not prosecuted any of Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators. And she said this.
This administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million, and Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents.
That's not good enough.
He is the most transparent president in the nation's history. And none of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that?
That
You know
means
why?
no real
Because
job yet.
Donald Trump, the Dow right now.
She has a job in the free world.
The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing.
Because she hear me laughing.
Dow was in her
All
personal
this
tweet
more
to get that
popular than
comment out.
Trump.
The Dow is over 50,000. That's why she couldn't prosecute any of the co-conspirators.
Oh no, baby. Them Democrats are blue, baby. It's a blue wave. He fired her because she couldn't stop that blue wave, that blue tsunami.
And never broke that threshold again. Currently down about 3,600 points.
You were
from that
close,
high point, thanks
but you
to
just
Trump's
wasn't close
choice
enough.
in Iran.
You almost
But I
had
digress.
it.
Pam Bondi's attempt to dodge questions about Epstein by screaming about the stock market immediately turned her into a laughing stock.
A
That
laughing
moment spawned
stock.
1,000 memes across the internet, all mocking the absurdity
Just wasn't good enough.
of Bondi's failed attempt to change the subject. It even got its own viral remix.
Remix.
Co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even?
Dow right now.
That.
50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. We should be talking about the Dow right now. S&P and on the 7. That's what we should be talking about.
No.
Viral remix.
The Dow.
How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even?
The Dow right now is over 50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. That's what we should be talking about.
The Dow.
S&P at almost 7,000. The American people need to know this. Need to know how is the Dow.
Let me address the survivors because
how is the Dow.
Oh my God.
Pretty catchy, right?
Oh my
But the
God.
absurdity of that moment
Oh my
became a
God.
perfect
Can I get a
encapsulation
little
of the
more,
impossible
y'all?
situation
That is
that
the
Pam Bondi felt.
That's what we should be talking about.
What? The Dow.
S&P at almost 7,000. The American people need to know this. Need to know how is the Dow.
let me address the survivors because
how is the
Dow. Oh my God.
Pretty catchy, right? And the absurdity of that moment became
Oh
a
my
perfect
goodness.
encapsulation of the impossible situation that Pam Bondi found herself in. Trump hated the Epstein files were getting so much attention. He called the whole thing a hoax. He wanted it just to go away. So Bondi was trying to downplay the issue out of loyalty to Donald Trump. The problem was that she had already lost all credibility on the issue because at the start of Donald Trump's second term, Bondi teased the MAGA base by telling them that she had obtained a list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients.
And one of the things that you alluded to, and this is something Donald Trump has talked about,
Baby,
the DOJ
the
may
Dow,
be
the
releasing
Dow.
the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will
Hey,
that
me.
really happen?
It's
Thank
sitting on
you.
my desk right now to review.
It's sitting on my desk right now
To review.
Then, 5 months later, Bondi walked that statement back, saying that actually there was
The
no
Dow,
Epstein
the
client
Dow.
list,
Oh my God.
and no files would be released. That self-inflicted wound never healed. We later learned from the Wall Street Journal that Bondi had already informed the president that his name was all over the Epstein files.
And we
And it
know
was right
it.
around that time that Trump started publicly referring to the whole Epstein issue as a hoax. Now, by that time, Bondi was already facing backlash from a
The
skeptical
Dow,
MAGA
the
base,
Dow.
and she was running out of options. She couldn't release files that might implicate her boss, she couldn't credibly cover it up, and she couldn't satisfy a political base that demanded transparency. And so the Epstein file scandal spiraled out of the administration's control. The public outcry was so overwhelming, Trump was effectively forced to sign a law mandating the release of the files. That's not what she called Donald Trump being the most transparent president ever. He was forced to do that. Pam Bondi was forced to at least to pretend that she was complying with that order, even as her office delayed the release of the files and then got caught over and over again, holding back key documents that should have been released, including documents containing stunning, though unsubstantiated, accusations that Donald Trump sexually assaulted a minor. And while the Epstein files were clearly a big part of why Trump became frustrated with Pam Bondi, they were not the only reason. Trump publicly demanded that Bondi bring baseless charges against his rivals, and Bondi dutifully complied. Her Justice Department tried to bring charges against the New York Attorney General Letitia James, against Senator Adam Schiff, against the former FBI Director James Comey, against the Chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell. But one by one, those prosecutions fell apart under the weight of their own stupidity. Judges and grand juries saw how weak the cases actually were and recognized the political motives behind them. Bondi's failure to prosecute Trump's enemies and her failure to make the Epstein files go away all made her the victim of a new Trump-era phenomenon. She was fired for being too loyal to the president. Because you see, in Donald Trump's first term, he fired or effectively pushed out all sorts of people, including 2 attorneys general, when he deemed them to be insufficiently loyal. And so, in Trump's second term, all of his cabinet members have worked overtime. I don't know if you ever watched one of these cabinet meetings. It's fascinating. They've worked overtime to prove their loyalty by trying to carry out whatever Trump wants, no matter how absurd or how outrageous or how illegal. But in the case of Pam Bondi, her effort to remain loyal at any cost destroyed what little credibility she did have, which made her so ineffective that she was eventually useless to Donald Trump. In many ways, it's similar to what happened with Trump's Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, or the Border Patrol Commander, Greg Bovino, both of whom tried to prove their loyalty by aggressively carrying out Donald Trump's cruel deportation agenda at any cost. But in doing so, they became cartoon villains, ridiculed by late-night comics and in viral memes. Ultimately, their zealous loyalty to Trump's agenda is what made them less useful to Trump and more expendable. We've seen the same thing from Trump's Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who's embarrassed herself through her efforts to prove Donald Trump's baseless election lies from 2020. We're still litigating that. And by abandoning her opposition to war with Iran in order to serve Donald Trump's interests. The Guardian reported today that Trump is polling his advisors about whether Gabbard should be fired as well. That's according to two people who are familiar with those discussions. And just before we came on the air, The Atlantic reported that Trump is considering firing a spate of other officials, including loyalists like FBI Director Kash Patel and the labor leader, Lori Chavez DeRemer. That's according to several people familiar with the matter. So what exactly is happening here? Absolute loyalty was supposed to be the thing that prevented Donald Trump's officials from getting fired, but it's become something of a trap. And that's not a problem just for Trump's cabinet, it's a problem for Trump himself. Trump has done nothing to solve his Epstein problems by firing Pam Bondi, and while his personal vendettas have corrupted the DOJ, he hasn't actually gotten closer to actually locking any of his political enemies up.
Before I move on,
We got the beef ragu by Chef Christy Flores.
I gotta hear that one more time before we
Japanese
move
style
on.
curry by
The
Chef
dial,
Sergio.
the dial.
To know me is to know I love a rasta pasta.
Girl, what? I gotta. Oh my God. That was the funniest thing I've heard all day. The dial.
And over again, holding back key documents
dial.
that should have been released, including documents containing files. That's not what she called Donald Trump being the most transparent president ever. He was forced to do that. Pam Bondi was forced to at least to pretend that she was. She couldn't release files that might implicate her boss. She couldn't credibly cover it up. And she couldn't satisfy a political base that demanded
It
transparency.
just wasn't going nowhere.
And so the Epstein file scandal spiraled out of the administration's control.
The dial, the dial.
The public outcry was so overwhelming, Trump was effectively forced to sign a law mandating the release of the files. That's not what she called Donald Trump being the most transparent president ever. He was
act like
forced
they gonna
to do
lose
that.
sleep if
Pam Bondi was forced
they were
to at
put
least to
out
pretend that
of
she was
commission.
complying with that order, even as her office delayed the
And
release of
she
the files and then
committed a
got
crime.
caught
She sure
over
did.
and over again, holding
I
back
said
key documents that should have
that
been
he was
released,
gonna put
including
that
documents
pretty little
containing stunning,
what
though
girl under the
unsubstantiated
bus.
accusations that
Yep.
Donald Trump sexually assaulted a minor.
And guess what?
And while the
She
Epstein files were clearly a big part of why Trump became
Was it up
frustrated
there?
with Pam Bondi,
the dial, the dial.
ironically, the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped
She in
below
them files
50,000
too.
points the following day and never broke that threshold again.
Pretty little
It's currently
girl.
down about 3,600 points from that high point, thanks to Trump's war of choice in Iran. But I digress. Pam Bondi's attempt to dodge questions about Epstein by screaming about the stock market immediately turned her into a laughingstock. That moment spawned 1,000 memes across the internet, all mocking the absurdity of Bondi's failed attempt to change the subject. It even got its own viral remix.
Remix.
How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even?
The Dow right now. It's over 50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. That's what we should be talking about. The Dow right now. S&P on the 7th. The American people need to know this. Need to know how is the Dow.
Let me address the survivors because that's
how is
From that high point, thanks to Trump's war of choice in Iran. But I digress. Pam Bondi's attempt to dodge questions about Epstein by screaming about the stock market immediately turned her into a laughingstock. That moment spawned
I can't
1,000
stop
memes across
laughing.
the internet, all mocking the absurdity of Bondi's failed attempt to change the subject. It even got its own viral remix.
How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even?
The Dow right now is over 50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. That's what we should be talking about.
The Dow
right now. S&P at over 7,000. The American people need to know this. Need to know how is the Dow.
Let me address the survivors because that's
how is the Dow.
It's the Dow.
Pretty catchy, right? And the absurdity of that moment became
It
a perfect
needs to
encapsulation of the
have
impossible
its
situation
own
that
thing
Bondi
going
found
on,
herself in.
baby.
Trump
The
hated
Dow,
the Epstein
the
files
Dow.
were getting so much attention. He called it a hoax. He wanted it just
Can I do my little
go
dance
away. So
off that
Bondi
song?
was trying
Yeah, come on, sing with me, Trump. The Dow, the Dow. Tell him it's the Dow. Y'all, I need for y'all to hit the like button for me. Double tap the face of your screen on your phone. Just do it like that. Or there's 3 dots at the top right corner. They deserve each other. But Pam Bondi, you know, those pictures of surface, they started to surface of her being at them Trump functions when she was young. Yeah, they girlfriend, boyfriend, they go way back.
So Bondi was trying to
The
downplay
Dow.
the issue out of loyalty to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
The problem was that she had already lost all credibility on the issue because at the start of Donald Trump's second term, Bondi
Yeah, she lied. Your lies, they ain't going nowhere now, boo-boo. And it's finna get deep. And you in them files. They say you in them files. Oh, here you go. He discussed the picture of her.
I do want to ask you about Blanche and potential replacements for Bondi, but one more question on her, because she was supposed to appear on April 14th for a deposition before
Oh, he's talking about that part.
House Oversight Committee. Ranking Member Garcia says that she still has to appear. James Comer, the chairman of that committee, has said that he's going to counsel with other Republicans on the panel to determine next steps. Nancy Mace, who initiated
Thank
the
you,
call
me,
for Bondi to testify
for the
before them,
sticker. The
says she still
dial.
believes that
It's
on.
the
But
dial.
we are
Hit the
hearing
like button for the dial.
from behind the scenes, including from CNN's Caitlin Collins, that part of the reason that Bondi is leaving the position is
Oh,
directly
she's
tied to the
suffering
White
from
House
Stockholm
wanting to
syndrome. Now
avoid
that I can
testifying
believe, but she
before
should have said
Congress.
that
What do you make of
before.
that?
She started hiding it.
A legal subpoena is a legal subpoena, and she has the responsibility and the
The
duty
dial,
to
the
appear.
dial.
It may be that Chairman Comer, in his utterly invertebrate subservience to Donald Trump administration, will see if he can get enough Republicans to vote to withdraw the subpoena. But I
Look
believe
at her.
that my
Look at her.
colleague,
Look at her looking at her poppy. Hey, poppy. I got you, baby. You know, you did what you told me you was gonna do. You put me through school. You know, you got me in this position. You know, I have you and you have me. We're as happy as can be. The dial, the dial. I'm gonna put it on the dial, the dial. Yeah. Crisscross make it the dial, the dial. Look, Poppy, I got you, baby. Yeah, we go a long way back. I didn't understand when I was a kid, but I damn sure understand now. Oh, that was before he fired you. You don't. Y'all hit the like button. Double tap the face. Hi, Art. Hit the like button for me. Yeah, she talking to Big Daddy. Hey, Poppy. Ooh, Poppy. So now she gonna come back later and try to say she was a victim too. Oh no, boo boo. Hi, Paulette. I don't know if you can have it both ways like that. Cause some of this is your fault that the victims have not gotten justice because you was playing with your Poppy. Yeah, Poppy. Me love you long time. Yeah, she sounds like she could be a Maxwell sister. No, she was a victim. She was on one of them planes. We pulled that out some time ago. The dog and the tramp. They think we're sleep or sheep. Y'all wouldn't hear. Y'all not the same. Dang. I need to go back and show y'all that picture. I wish I could pull it up quickly, but I can't. But I'm going to find it for y'all. Hold on. Poppy. Okay, Poppy. Auntie Fee is about to show. She's about to show the tea sippers when I was young, when I was on the plane and I was at the party. What am I going to do? The whole world's laughing at me. They're calling me a silly fool. Yeah, we laughing at you. Because you tried to make fun of the victims and you wouldn't even turn around and look at them. You sold your soul to the devil. Everybody, it's time to pay.
Ranking member Garcia is absolutely right.
Let me get on another device.
And she needs to appear.
What do you think the future is of the Epstein files?
Look at her smiling. I'm with Big Daddy. With my poppy. Y'all, she is in them Epstein files.
Might be taking from all of this the idea that
now I wonder has she changed her name, but give me a minute.
On his behalf, but in fact,
look how she's looking at it.
Take it as a sign that the country has had enough of all of the obstructionism and all of
I changed your diapers.
We passed a law.
I changed your diapers when you had shit all over your leg and you fired me. I put my job on the line. They're going to disbar me. And you fired me. I did the best I could. You know I was never supposed to file those bogus. I told you. You wouldn't listen to me. I tried to tell you you could not win. And you fired me. I want my job. You did some things to me, Donald Trump, when I was a little girl. You don't want me to... Yeah, he gave you that look like they gonna find your ass on the golf course. You know too much. You better not threaten him, bologna sandwich. Yeah, no, sir, you can't do that. You said... You sacrifice, you wasn't here. Y'all, let me find another video to play so I can pull that up. Heck yeah. Little girl, and when she was in her 20s. Because if y'all don't know, she got confronted. It was beginning to leak out. I showed those pictures. And then somebody asked her, did she know Trump? First she lied and said no. Then she said, well, I think I met him when I was in my 20s, when I was in college. Yeah. Hell yeah. Because you're going to uck around. And Auntie Fee gonna put it out. Yes, sir. Give me a minute. I'm gonna find it for you. I can't stand this bitch. Probably will end up somewhere worse. Oh yeah. She better not threaten it. Cause she not CIA, boo-boo. You was just one of the Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, girl, please. CIA ain't gonna save you like they did Bondi, not Bondi, Maxwell and Epstein. You better shut your ass up. You're gonna be on the nines.
The federal law and
the 19th hole.
Justice. They've turned the Department of Justice into this the political law firm for Donald Trump, and they need to perform a 180-degree turnaround from that. And
now, boo, see, y'all wasn't supposed to press the issue. We, the people, were supposed to just take what they said and run with it. We were not supposed to investigate. We were not supposed to dig deep. We were supposed to go away. Shoot fly, don't bother me. Let me continue to lie. How dare y'all continue to stay around and dig and dig and dig. And oh my God, what are y'all doing? Huh? What are you doing? Oh my God, they're not going away. Oh, so none of the plans that they had, these people are not falling for it anymore. Oh, we love Pam. We'll find Pam a job. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to find another one so that I can look it up for you. Hold on. Let's hear what Brother Ben has to say. I know that, but
Donald Trump is panicking as his catastrophic war in Iran continues to spiral out of control. Donald Trump's speech last night, his address to the nation, was a...
Hold on. Let me see what he done said about Pambala. Hold on, and then I'm gonna dig it up for you. Hold on, hold my mule. Trump make shocking mission. Oh, that was a secret. Oh, hold on.
He's making about the ballroom project. He's
Oh, no, I
telling
don't want to
the
hear that. Mm-mm. 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 He fires the general.
It is a Thursday night massacre, folks. Donald Trump is engaging in mass firings of his military leaders on Thursday.
Let me look
First,
for it
we
for
heard
y'all.
about the
Hit the like button. Get my likes
by
up.
Pete Hegseth of the Army Chief of Staff
The
General
down, the
Randy
down.
George, who was forced into retirement. He was fired. He was the 41st Chief of Staff of the United States Army, fired during Donald Trump's catastrophic war in Iran. We're also hearing in a report from the Washington Post that in addition to Randy George, General David Honey, a former Army Ranger who leads the Services Transformation and Training Command, fired. Also Major General William Green Jr., head of the Army's Chaplain Corps. Honey's command was created under George's watch, while Hegseth sought recently to overhaul how military chaplains operate. In all, Hegseth is ousting over 12 senior military officials. This brings the total count, as John Ball writes, of purged senior military officials by Pete Hegseth to over a dozen. And by the way, as Jennifer Griffin, the national security correspondent from Fox points out, the most recent firings adds to this long list of Secretary Hegseth firing our top military generals. I mean, you take a look here, Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Lisa Franchetti, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Charles Q. Brown, Defense Intelligence Agency Director, Lieutenant General Jeffrey Cruz, Vice Admiral Shoshana Chatfield, Director of National Security Agency and U.S. Cyber Command, General Timothy D. Howe, Air Force Vice Chief of Staff James C. Jim Slife, Lieutenant General Jennifer Short, Head of the Navy Reserve, Vice Admiral Nancy LeCour, Head of Navy Special Warfare Command, the Judge Advocate General, Air Force Lieutenant General Charles Plummer, Alvin Hosley, Commander of U.S. Southern Command, Director of the Joint Staff, Lieutenant General Sims was passed over for the 4th star, which he had earned and was forced to retire. The Coast Guard, Commandant Admiral Linda Fagan, and the list goes on and on and on. The top of the top people, either before or during this war, being fired by the Trump regime. And as this catastrophic war in Iran rages on, as these mass terminations, this Thursday night massacre taking place, U.S. intelligence is assessing that Iran still maintains significant missile launching capability, including roughly half of its cruise and ballistic launchers, as well as thousands and thousands of one-way attack drones, despite the daily strikes by the United States and Israel at military targets across Iran for the last 5 weeks. This is from the latest CNN report. And even before the CNN report, it's exactly what we've been telling you at the Midas Touch Network. We've been saying Iran has thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of Shahi drones, FPV drones for those drone swarms, and ballistic missile capabilities have still not been severely degraded. Maybe 1/3 of the ballistic missile and launchers have been degraded, but I always thought there was like 2/3 of those ballistic missiles that could be accessed along with their launchers. Now, we're also learning from the New York Times one of the reason for General George's firing. In part, Hegseth for months was pressing General George and Army Secretary Dan Driscoll to remove 4 officers, 2 black officers, 2 female officers from a promotions list. George and Driscoll refused to follow that order, citing the fact that these officers have long and exemplary service, and you can't demote these individuals because they're black and because they are female. They deserve a promotion, and apparently, according to the Times, that's one of the reasons they were fired, because it was viewed as insubordination. And during this catastrophic war in Iran, you have Donald Trump and Hegseth utterly paranoid, and of course, in keeping with their past disgusting practices, this is how they behave. Now, as Donald Trump is engaged in this Thursday night massacre, firing his top military leaders, we also reported earlier how Pam Bondi was fired, Donald Trump's attorney general. We also believe that there will be much more firings to come in Donald Trump's cabinet. Perhaps Howard Lutnick, perhaps Kash Patel, and others. Stay tuned there. But with all of this taking place, Donald Trump is now officially proposing a $1.5 trillion defense budget for the next fiscal year.
Trying to play the blame game. Hey,
as Bloomberg writes,
Trump
will frame the Republican Party's midterm message around massive defense buildup, spending money on war, and cutting healthcare, quote-unquote, entitlements and other domestic agencies and priorities. That's going to be their focus right now. Donald Trump called into Time magazine, and on the topic of Iran, Donald Trump said, why won't Iran call? Why wouldn't they call me? We just blew up their 3 big bridges. Trump also said, Iran, say that Trump is not negotiating. I mean, it's sort of an easy negotiation, don't you think? Donald Trump, of course, earlier today posted his war crimes. He posted a video destroying a bridge.
Hold on. Oh, y'all get my lights up? Y'all ready? What? Yeah, I was finna do old boy. I ain't gonna do him. Y'all, you see that one in the back? Over Big Daddy's shoulder, below that F. Y'all see that one back there? Auntie Fee, how you know it's her? Hi, Auntie Fee. Auntie Fee, you play too much. Get my likes up. Hit the like button. Yeah, she in the Epstein files. She was on the plane. Okay, so hold up. Now, I want y'all to see the bridge of that nose. Up here. Where that ripped up in here. Look at them eyes. Now, let me show you her. When I was just a little girl. And I was there. He promised me the word. Y'all on point. Yeah, hi, Gail. Y'all ready? Hit the like button. Support the platform. I don't know where y'all been, boo, but we've been on that T for a while. My T sippers know. We pointed that out a long time ago. Y'all ready? Now let's take you down. Yeah, he promised her. That's Pam Bondi. Look at that bridge right here. Right up here. Somebody was saying they thought it was this one. I think it's this one. I think it's her by the shape of her face. Yeah. Pam Bondi was on that plane with Big Daddy Trump. She's been faithful. She's followed the procedures. What's the procedures? He put her through school in this eliteness, and she fulfilled her obligation. And he told her that he would always be there for her. He would make sure that she had that education. Yeah. And then there's another picture of her when she got a little older. She was in college. After she got put through college. Hold on. Phil, I agree with you, baby. Hold on. Let me see if I can move that picture over. See, I made it like that too, but y'all may not be able to see that little drawing. Y'all may not be able to see that. Yeah, Pam Bondi was one of them little girls. Now, I don't know why that's on her eye, but yeah. And Big Daddy fired her today. I changed his diapers. I allowed him to touch me when I didn't want to be touched. And he promised me. He promised me. And now I can't say anything because he said I would be on the 19th hole. And he would walk on me and laugh at me like he did. What's her name? Ivana. What am I gonna do without you, Donald Trump? You're my big daddy. Yep, that's her nose. I told you, me, Turf Valley. Y'all better give it up for the tea. Give it up for the tea. She got that over her butt. Yes, that is her. That is her. She had this orange makeup on that day. Yeah, and then he fired her. Because you couldn't save me. I could hear him there. They said they was in there arguing. Oh, it got loud. I'm going to find that too. I wonder, he said, what the fuck did I send you to school for? Yeah, you little cunt. You little nasty fuck. You know, you're a whore. You know how you talk to people, especially when he don't get his way. He started degrading them. Did you notice after she said she was pregnant? I didn't know she said she was pregnant. Oh, no, I didn't know. I knew that other girl was supposedly be pregnant, but hell, I don't see her pregnant no more. The crazy girl who be giving the press secretary or whatever she is. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I think the Cash Patel, the way he swerved his hips the other day. You too damn funny. Cause they've been trying to play in our face, y'all. Yeah. He mad because he went and sat in that courtroom with his partners and they didn't take the bait. Ain't nobody scared of you no more, fat ass. Go oink, oink, go oink, oink, go sit your fat ass down. You stormed out. Now it's Caroline Levy. Yeah, that's right, Aaron. Now it's everybody's fault because you couldn't leave them babies alone. You felt like you was entitled. Like you told that girl, let me show you what your mouth's supposed to do. Yeah, that's why she bit them. She said she don't like mushrooms. And she ain't finna start eating. Oh, y'all hear it go spinning around. Oh, it's going spinning around. Yeah, so do y'all see now? Yeah, she is in them Epstein files. She in them Epstein files, y'all. Don't get it twisted. She is up in there. She up in there. She up in there. She is up in there. She up in there. Oh, he was up in there. But that's okay. If they let his ass go to prison, a bub and them gonna be in his butt guts. His butt guts. His chitterlands. Yeah, that's her. That's her. Back there in the back. Illa said, yeah, that's her. That's her. That is her. He has a type, y'all. Even with little girls, he has a type. May we never forget. One hot mess. One hot funky diaper mess. You can't even pull up your damn diaper by yourself. Yeah. And you got reptilians and all that crazy shit. You talk that shit. Oh boy, wasn't you thought you was gonna stare him down? You thought you was gonna stare Clarence Thomas down? You thought you was gonna stare all they asses down, and they wouldn't even look at your orange ass. They said, "Fuck you. Your days and your numbers are up. They are not falling for the banana in the tailpipe, and we can't keep dodging. Cause the reality of it is, a fat neck, you are out." Did you call him fat neck? Hell, don't you see that jibber jabber? You play with his neck like you play with a baby's But a baby's lip. Yeah, that's what that neck do. That turkey neck. Hell to the hell, yeah. You should have left them kids alone. It's everybody else's fault. No, it's your fault. It's your fault. And baby, let me tell you something. The limousine driver is ready for his day in court. He is talking to the feds. Sasha Riley, I don't know why you mad at all these people. You thought that you was going to be able to hit them with them immigration. You thought that you was going to be able to find him in Minnesota. Yeah, ain't none of that shit what turkey neck. Yes. So now, okay, so I'm going to go back over here to Ben, and I'm going to try to find her when she was in college. Y'all hit the like button. Y'all pump it up for Auntie Fee. I got the tea. Yeah, ain't nobody showed it to you and broke her down like that. I broke her down like a pound. What they say? Break her. I bust her down. Yeah, I got you, boo. That's you. That is you. With your friends. Which one of them may be Christy, Naomi, may be somebody else. But that's you. And Cash Patel, the way he twirl his hips, he one of them babies too that was touched. And they done got him a job. They held, that's what Wexner was supposed to do. They'll pay for your college if you don't turn on them and you let them have their way. Without fighting and biting. That's why they ain't want nobody black, baby. They said them darker shades of brown. They want to bite, fight, kick, put what they call it, knives and forks. Yeah, that's why he in a diaper now. Although Sasha wasn't black, but he fought that ass back. That's what he did. Let me find that other picture. Come on, Ben. Come on back, baby.
In Iran, one of the
y'all hit the like button. Here it is. I got another one. Let's go. Get off of it, Auntie Fee. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
To be their focus right now. Donald Trump called into Time magazine, and on the topic of Iran, Donald Trump said, "Why won't Iran call? Why wouldn't they call me?
Why wouldn't they call you?
3 big bridges." Trump also said, Iran, say that Trump is not negotiating. I mean, it's sort of an easy negotiation, don't you think? Donald Trump, of course, earlier today posted his war crimes. He posted a video destroying a bridge in Iran, one of the largest bridges in Iran. And Donald Trump wrote, "The biggest bridge in Iran comes tumbling down, never to be used again. Much more to follow. It's time for Iran to make a deal."
He think he let's make a deal. He said let's make a deal. Okay, let's go.
Before it's too late and there is nothing left of what still could become a great country, President Donald J. Trump, to which Iranian social media accounts responded by writing, Trump directly admits to targeting civilian positions, international organizations, governments. Hasn't the time come to act against this brutality? Also, you have the Iranian foreign minister, Araghchi, post a photo of the destroyed bridge in question and writes, "Striking civilian structures, including unfinished bridges, will not compel Iranians to surrender. It only conveys the defeat and moral collapse of an enemy in disarray. Every bridge and building will be built back stronger. What will never recover damage to America's standing." In addition, Iranian social media accounts were showing photos of the Strait of Hormuz filled with American flag draped caskets with the text, "If you don't mind, now it's the time." The only American thing that can pass through the Strait of Hormuz and the Persian Gulf is American flag draped caskets. Donald Trump's response was posting on social media a photo of Davy Crockett and writing, "Davy Crockett, obviously a distant relative of Jasmine Crockett and a very high IQ frontiersman, would be proud of the legacy that he began long ago, and especially Jasmine Crockett's great success as a politician from the great state of Texas, President Donald J. Trump. Utterly, utterly deranged. A spokesperson for Iran's Armed Forces General Staff posted the following message, or sent the following message to the Fars regime media news entity. We are waiting for the start of a U.S. ground operation because we will deliver them a lesson they will never forget, so that they would never again intend to attack even the weakest country in the world. In addition, Iranian Armed Forces spokesperson says Iran is waiting, and we will teach them a lesson never to invade our country again. Should also be noted that the Gulf countries, the GCC Secretary General, the Council wishes to establish normal relations with Iran and resolve all security issues transparently. In other words, the Gulf countries, the GCC, allied with the United States, seem to be moving away to focus on direct negotiations with Iran for access to the Strait of Hormuz, and also in order to get Iran to stop retaliating against the U.S. by launching ballistic missiles and Shahed drones at the various kind of economic areas and other infrastructure in those Arab nations. The bridge that Donald Trump destroyed, one of them, it's the B1 bridge in the northern Iranian city of Karaj, which is one of the tallest bridges in all of the Middle East. It wasn't fully operational, but the Trump regime destroyed it anyway. You have Iran's deputy foreign minister, Kazem Garibabdi, saying Iran will soon set transfer fees for ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran is now working with Oman to set these fees to collect tolls, and they've said, let's be very clear, the U.S. and Israel and their allies will never get to use the Strait of Hormuz. Also, the Islamic Republic News Agency posted a photo because Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth have been saying, we're going to bomb Iran into the Stone Age. The Iranian social media accounts have posted, well, this map shows Iran in the Stone Age. Do you insist on reviving it? And during the Stone Age, Iran's reach and their empire was the entire Middle East region, is what they're saying, and more. So you want us to have all the Middle East and Africa? Okay, if that is what you want. In addition, Iran's foreign minister Araghchi posts the following. There's one striking difference between the present and the Stone Age. There was no oil or gas being pumped into the Middle East back then. Are POTUS and Americans who put him in office sure that they want to turn back the clock? You have statements like that also from the Iran Armed Forces headquarters. Their main spokesperson says, your intel on our military power is incomplete. You know nothing about our vast strategic capabilities. The sites that you think you are hit are of little import to us. Our key military production centers are beyond your reach. And then earlier in the day, French President Emmanuel Macron was calling out Trump, saying, we must be serious. And when we are serious, we do not say the opposite of what we said the day before. Perhaps we should not speak every day. We should simply calm things down and build a lasting peace. Macron also said, 6 months ago, we were told everything had been destroyed and settled by the United States. Clearly, that was not the case. Without international inspectors verifying materials, research, and hidden sites, it is simply not serious. Finally, French President Macron said the following on the Strait of Hormuz. Opening it by force is not the option we have chosen. We consider it unrealistic. A military operation to reopen it would take an infinite amount of time and expose forces to immense coastal and ballistic risks. From the beginning, we have said it must be reopened, but only in coordination with Iran. The world cannot live with a strait that can be opened or closed overnight. Obviously, discussing the possibility for bilateral negotiations, which are probably already going on between France and Iran. That's your update right now. Donald Trump having this Thursday night massacre of the military generals, also his Attorney General Pam Bondi. Also, we expect many more cabinet members to be fired as well. Lutnick, Kash Patel is an FBI director, but we expect him to be fired too. We'll keep you posted every step of the way. Hit subscribe, help us get to 7 million subscribers.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.
She feel like a woman scorned where somebody done tricked her out her coochie. Promised her the world and delivered nothing. That's how she feeling right about now.
Leave it to Donald Trump to not only publicly humiliate himself with a misunderstanding and misapprehension of the
She got tricked out of her coochie. Y'all come on. Hit the like button.
They want very much to make a deal. We'd like to make a
quit
deal
lying.
too. We're going to get together today by probably phone because it's very hard to.
They not taking your calls, man. Stop lying.
I guess. But we'll at some point very, very soon meet. If it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
Who is Steve Witkoff speaking with, Mr. President?
Speaking with in Iran. A top person. I don't want him to be killed. Okay? I don't want him to be killed.
A lot of times, President Donald Trump says the quiet part out loud. And as you heard there, in late March, he disclosed that the U.S. was negotiating some sort of peace deal with an Iranian diplomat, but he didn't want to name who that diplomat was because he didn't want him to be killed. Now, who would kill him? Other than the Israelis, of course. And I bring up that recent history to give you the latest news, because today we actually learned that Iran's former foreign minister, a gentleman by the name of Kamal Karzai, was severely injured in an Israeli attack on his home on Wednesday. Now, he was severely injured. His wife was killed. But this is an individual who was seen as a more moderate member of Iranian society. He's a former, member of the IRGC. And there were some claims that he was working back channels to see if there could be some talks to end the war. But Israel doesn't want to end the war.
Nope.
So they decided to strike his home. The New York Times reported this morning that he was, again, moderate politician who was attempting to organize talks between the United States and Iran. Two Iranian officials say Karzai had been overseeing engagement with Pakistan for a possible meeting between Iranian officials and Vice President J.D. Vance. You can't have that. Israelis don't want peace.
So Trump
They're
got
looking
him
to expand
killed.
their borders. Duh. Peace means that the regime stays in place. And the regime challenges their expansionist policies. So we got to get rid of them. Now, of course, the IDF isn't risking its lives to fight a country that actually does have a formidable military. They're not suffering the consequences the same way the innocent civilians are suffering consequences. I mean, there's, I think so far, 24 people who have been killed in this war in Israel as a result of retaliatory strikes from Iran. But over 2,000 innocent civilians have been killed in Iran. And there's more to come. There's definitely more to come. Because that's what Israel does, with the help of the United States, of course. Bloodthirsty warmongers. And it's never enough. It's never enough. So the real question is, did Israel do it and the U.S. just stood by and let it happen? Or is the U.S. just fully lying about seeking peace negotiations? Or are both things true? Honestly, all three of those options could be possible. But last week, several media reports quoted Karzai saying that Iran had not shut down all avenues for negotiating and was open to possible indirect talks. Now, he said that after he had said that there was no room for negotiation, no room for diplomacy. Now, after the United States sucker punched Iran yet again in the middle of negotiations, yeah, that's how I'm sure government officials, members of the regime, politicians in Iran
what
felt.
they said.
No, there's no room for diplomacy. But this guy started to warm up to the idea of engaging in talks again. And I guess once Israel caught wind of that, well, obviously we got to bomb his home, got to kill his family members, but they didn't kill him. He's severely wounded, severely injured, but they didn't kill him. They'll try to do it again, though. I have no doubt.
Yeah.
You can bet money
You
on
better
it.
shut up.
Now, this is a big deal because he had previously told CNN, this is what he previously said before saying, you know, there's room for negotiations, there's room for talks. Soon after the war had launched, he told CNN, Trump had been deceiving others and not keeping with his promises, and we experienced this in 2 times of negotiations, that while we were engaged in negotiation, they struck us. That's the kind of dishonesty this administration has engaged in, which we will pay consequences for. Because if you can't be trusted, then other countries aren't going to want to make deals with you, whether they're economic deals, trade deals, or deals about alliances when it comes to issues of war and peace, deals about how to end wars, when to end wars. We are a country that can't be trusted.
Facts.
It's embarrassing. It puts us at a significant disadvantage. Now, of course, recent history shows that Israel intentionally targets and kills peace negotiators. They've done it 2 previous times in Iran. But how can we forget about what they did last year in Qatar? This was when, Qatar was mediating peace negotiations, a possible ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Now, the United States had essentially pleaded with Qatar to have Hamas or host Hamas in their country in order to allow for these negotiations and these talks to happen. And unfortunately, the Qataris paid a heavy price for that. So according to Nick Turse in The Intercept at the time, the Qatari foreign ministry said that Israel targeted a residential complex where senior Hamas politicians lived. Qatar agreed to host an office for Hamas at the request of the United States to facilitate peace talks, Qatari officials have said in the past. An unidentified senior Hamas official told Al Jazeera that the attack occurred while a team was discussing President Donald Trump's proposal for a ceasefire in Gaza. And by the way, I mean, why did the Israelis even bother killing, the negotiators and the more moderate members of these groups? Why would they even bother? It's not like they abide by ceasefires anyway. They didn't abide by the Gaza ceasefire. They're still killing innocent civilians as we speak.
No.
They certainly didn't abide by the ceasefire in Lebanon. They carried out thousands of strikes after agreeing to a ceasefire. They're never held accountable for anything, yet they make themselves the #1 victims in the world. It's amazing. It's amazing. They're constantly held at a lower standard.
Right.
They get away with literal murder. And then they cry
and then blame
about how they're
else.
hated. Yeah, you're hated because you kill innocent people and you steal land. That's what Israel is known for.
Absolutely.
People feel free to actually say it out loud for once. But it's the truth. This is who you guys are. This is what you represent. It's like going around punching people in the face and then asking, why don't people like me? You guys are vicious animals. None of the intended Hamas targets were killed, but the opportunity to secure a ceasefire was jeopardized, which is what the Israelis wanted, of course. This was the attack on Qatar.
Bam, got it.
In response to those strikes, the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, put out a statement.
Found the other one when she was in her 20s. Where my lights at, y'all? That's Auntie V found it. Don't be moving. What y'all doing? Why y'all moving? Oh, it got it on. So it's hold up. Get my lights up. Because it started moving. Oh, baby. Baby. Oh, yeah. Where my lights at? Where my lights at? Oh, she crying now. Oh my God, she's mad. Now she's going back in childhood of all the things that happened to her and how she compromised herself. Didn't stand up for herself. Believed him. Although he lies to everybody else, he would not lie to me. He did what he said he was going to do. He put me in position of power if we could get him back into the office. Y'all see that down there? Hold on, where's that pen? Is that her, y'all? Huh? Ain't that Pam Bondi when she was young? Huh? At one of them Epstein parties. He kind of favors there she go. Israeli murderers, 93%. With Netanyahu is fact headline at IDF. Bam! Hey Eve, hi 1031. Oh yeah, Johnny, bye. You in here lying. You got one warning, no lies. Do not be lying. She was at one of them parties back in the day. Don't come in here lying. I was playing with the color. So he was young. That is Pam Bondi. That is that little girl on that plane. They are all connected. Mm-hmm. There goes Sasha Riley. Baby, he got the T on Donald Trump. He is the reason why he wears a diaper. Okay? That is her. She was at the Epstein party. Yep. Okay, going back to girl.
Israel loathes the UN because the UN will put out statements like this, and they don't like that. Who knows? Maybe they'll start bombing the UN soon. Who knows? Honestly, I wouldn't put it past them. Israel's strikes on negotiators in Doha on September 9th was a shocking breach of international law, an assault on regional peace and stability, and a blow against the integrity of mediation and negotiating processes around the world. The attack violated the right to life under international human rights law. They don't believe that anyone has a right to life.
That's why she didn't want to turn and look at them
agree
people.
With the Zionist project, of course.
And the principles of international she was having her hearing. Law. She refused.
Okay. So far, that
I
we
wouldn't
know
be surprised if
of. And
they
I think this is
already
an underestimate,
if
but nonetheless, officially it's been agreed that 72,000 people have been slaughtered in Gaza by the
the House
Israelis.
don't already
More than
know.
2,000 people have been killed in Iran since this war
Oversight
began on
Committee
February
already
28th.
knows the Pam Bondi is
The
one
death
of them.
toll from Israeli attacks in Lebanon has risen to 1,345, and I'm not even talking about the death toll prior to the so-called
She's one of
ceasefire.
the
I'm just talking
minions.
about
Yep.
the latest
She's
invasion
one of
that
the
Israel engaged
victims
in.
who has stayed
So that's
stayed
beginning
the
March
course.
2nd
He
of
put her in school because you
2026.
remember
They managed to slaughter
that's what
almost
Epstein was
1,400
promising the little
Lebanese.
girls who lived around the corner, went to school around the corner, that he would put them pay for their college. Remember? That's some of the blackmail, the negotiation. Let me touch on you. Give me a massage. I'll pay for your college. Da 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 da. So she went to one of those colleges that's tied to the Epstein case, where she was able to get her education. Zuko, yes, she should be in prison for cover-up. That's why she didn't want to face them. She wanted them. She is one of them. So somebody said, you know, you are one of them, and I am one of them, and so are you. Yeah. She couldn't face them. They paid for their college. She went to law school.
These people in a month. Who cares? Not a big deal. They're so disgusting. And 13 of our soldiers are dead for a war that we are fighting on their behalf. So that's
not our war.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true. But it does keep.
Not our war. What else we got before I turn it in and go to sleep? Auntie P, you just gonna leave it here? Yeah, I'm gonna leave it here. Why would I not? You know how much I have to go through to find those pictures? Y'all better snap it and look at it and snap it on your phone or do something, baby, because Senator Shred Pam Bondi. Oh, yes, indeed. That is Pam Bondi. I'm trying to see what else I missed earlier today. And I don't want to go back 15, 16 hours. What was this? But I like this war, man.
Tonight, the unthinkable happened, and the world will never look at Middle Eastern air power the same way again. In the span of a single night, 40 of the most advanced fighter aircraft ever constructed, the F-35 Adir, the crown jewel of Israeli
Are we through with Pam Bondi, y'all?
Each unit worth over $100 million were destroyed on the ground before a single pilot could reach a cockpit. $4 billion in American...
Now, what is this?
A new investigation corroborates information that a Trump and Epstein accuser gave to the FBI. This is Jane Doe number 4. She sat for 4 different FBI interviews.
Oh, yeah,
the
we know
interviews
about
were initially
Katie.
withheld by the DOJ, and some, but not all, of the pages have since been released. My
Let me
name
get
is
back
Dina
to the
Dahl
war
with the
guy.
Midas Touch Network. Let's get into this.
Tonight, the unthinkable happened, and the world will never look at Middle Eastern air power the same way again. In the span of a single night, 40 of the most advanced fighter aircraft ever constructed, the F-35 Adir, the crown jewel of Israeli air superiority, each unit worth over $100 million, were destroyed on the ground before a single pilot could reach a cockpit. $4 billion in American-built aerospace technology vaporized in darkness. Not by a peer military with aircraft carriers and satellite constellations, by Iran, by a nation that Washington has spent 5 decades trying to strangle through sanctions, covert operations, and relentless diplomatic pressure. The instrument of destruction was the FATH 360, a precision ballistic missile system that the Western defense establishment had largely dismissed as a regional nuisance, a short-range weapon, a propaganda piece, something to be intercepted, neutralized, managed. Last night, that dismissal cost Israel its entire forward airstrike capability in a single operational window. Nevatim Air Base, the primary home of Israel's F-35 fleet and the launch point for every major Israeli airstrike across the region, was hit by a coordinated salvo, so precise, so compressed in timeline, and so overwhelming in volume that Iron Dome, David Sling, and every layer of layered defense Israel possessed could not prevent the catastrophe from unfolding. By the time the smoke cleared over the Negev desert, the strategic equation of the Middle East had been permanently rewritten. Israel had entered the night as the dominant air power in the region. It exited the night as a nation without an offensive air force.
Oh, wow.
And Washington, which had guaranteed Israel's qualitative military edge as a cornerstone of American foreign policy for half a century, found itself staring at a gap in its regional architecture that no emergency resupply can fill overnight. Tonight's analysis takes you inside the strike. We will break down the FAST
it's a parasite feeding the American people.
And why it
you are absolutely right, Lockdown.
Thrown against it. We will examine how Iran planned and executed a simultaneous multi-base assault without triggering early warning until it was too late. We will assess what the loss of 40 F-35S means for Israel's capacity to continue operating across every theater it is currently engaged in. And we will map the geopolitical shockwave now radiating outward from this single night, reaching Washington, Moscow, Beijing, and every Gulf capital simultaneously. The truth of what happened last night is more consequential than anything the mainstream defense media is currently willing to say out loud. Before we go further, if this channel is giving you analysis that cuts deeper than what you're finding anywhere else, hit like, subscribe, and drop your sharpest assessment in the comments. Every engagement
I need for y'all to hit the like button and support the platform.
And sharp. 3 questions will anchor tonight's full analysis. First, how did Iran execute a coordinated strike across multiple hardened Israeli air bases simultaneously without triggering an adequate early warning response? Second, what is the FATH 360 actually capable of, and why did the most expensive missile defense architecture in the Middle East fail to stop it? Third, with Israel's F-35 fleet destroyed and its offensive air capacity gutted, what comes next? And does Washington have any realistic response that doesn't risk igniting a full regional war? The answers are not comfortable, but they are necessary. If you have been following this channel through the escalating sequence of events across the past several weeks, you already understand that what we are witnessing is not a series of isolated military incidents. It is a structured, patient, methodically executed campaign to fundamentally alter the balance of power across the Middle East, and last night represented its most consequential single operation. Subscribe now if you haven't already. Share this analysis with anyone who is serious about understanding what is actually happening. The comment section is open. Tell me what you think the next move looks like from Tehran, from Tel Aviv, and from Washington. The strike, what actually happened at Nevatim and beyond. To understand the full magnitude of last night, you need to understand what Nevatim Air Base actually represents within Israel's military architecture. This is not simply an airfield. Nevatim is the operational heart of Israeli air dominance across the entire region. It houses the majority of Israel's F-35 Ayadir fleet, the most technologically advanced combat aircraft on Earth, equipped with sensor fusion systems, low observable coatings, and network warfare capabilities that no other air force in the Middle East can match. Every major Israeli airstrike against Iranian assets in Syria over the past several years originated from Nevatim.
And guess what?
Every deep strike mission against Hezbollah's precision
Rothschilds
missile
are in all over them Epstein files too.
Every covert penetration of defended airspace. It all flows through Nevatim.
People scared to bring it up.
Nevatim's flight line is not merely
this is the Rothschilds mess.
It is destroying Israel's
the devil
ability
worshippers
to project offensive power across the entire regional chessboard simultaneously. Iran understood this with absolute clarity. The targeting logic behind last night's operation was not random. It was the product of years of intelligence collection, operational planning, and patient preparation for exactly this moment. The strike sequence began at 17 inches the morning local time,
ladies and gentlemen.
Choice that was itself a deliberate calculation. Israeli air defense crews were at their lowest alert readiness. The watch rotation had just changed. Processing speed at radar stations and command
They
centers
build this
was at
fake
its overnight
Israel,
minimum. This is not
the
coincidence.
devil worshiping stuff,
Iranian
all of
operational
that.
planners selected the launch window
That's
based on
them,
detailed
right here.
knowledge of Israeli defense cycle patterns. Knowledge accumulated through years of electronic intelligence collection, drone overflights, and human intelligence networks that Western analysts consistently underestimated. The opening phase of the assault
Mary
involved a
bullied
wave
them
of decoy
into submission so they
UAVs,
can't
small,
take control.
low observable platforms that flooded the radar environment with targets simultaneously. Israeli air defense radar networks were suddenly processing hundreds of incoming signatures.
If you can see
from
at the
multiple
top, they
approach
got them
vectors.
horns,
The computer
mask
systems
on their
managing Iron
heads.
Dome battery allocation and David's
Them
sling
parties,
intercept assignment were thrown
animals,
into a prioritization
shit.
overload that military
Parties.
systems engineers call saturation paralysis. Every battery in the network began cycling through target assignment sequences faster than its reload capacity could support. This is the trap. While every available interceptor in northern and central Israel was being committed to the decoy wave, the FATH 360 salvos were already airborne from launch positions in western Iran and from mobile platforms pre-positioned through Iraqi territory, locations that Israeli early warning arrays were not adequately oriented
And they
to
trick them with
cover
money.
at the angles of approach
The
that
root
were
of
used.
all the
The
root
FAT
is
360
money.
missiles arrived in groups of 8 to 12, targeted against specific hardened shelters within the Nevatim complex. The timing compression between the first impact and the last was under 4 minutes. In 4 minutes, Israel had no realistic path to an effective, coordinated response. The base's internal alert system was still processing the initial warning when the second and third salvos were already in terminal descent. Simultaneously, and this is the element that most shocked IDF command, a parallel strike package hit Ramon Air Base in the southern Negev, where Israel had pre-positioned
Yes, that was the
a reserve
Rothschilds.
contingent of F-35F and conventional F-16-1 aircraft as a dispersal measure following earlier escalation warnings. The fact that Iran knew about this dispersal, knew the precise locations within Ramon where the aircraft had been relocated, represents an intelligence penetration of Israeli operational security at a depth that has not been publicly acknowledged by any official Israeli source. But the impact craters tell the story that the press releases do not. By 2:47 inches the morning, 30 minutes after the first
They are the
launch
original
detection,
people who
the
wanted the World
operational
War
assessment
III.
reaching IDF Air Force headquarters contained numbers that commanders initially refused to believe. 40 aircraft confirmed destroyed or critically damaged, 3 hardened shelter complexes at Nevatim rendered structurally compromised, the primary fuel and munitions storage node at the base hit and burning, Ramon's dispersal area struck with comparable accuracy. Israel's offensive air capability, the instrument upon which every component of its regional strategy depends, had been effectively neutralized in a single half-hour operational window. The magnitude of this achievement cannot be overstated by reference to any previous precedent in Middle Eastern military history. In the 1967 Six-Day War, Israel destroyed the Egyptian, Jordanian, and Syrian air forces in a preemptive strike that lasted approximately 3 hours. Last night, Iran executed the functional equivalent, destroying Israel's most capable aircraft on the ground in 30 minutes with ballistic
You
missiles
see the funky,
from a distance
the
of over
freaky
1,000
shit.
kilometers against
Oh,
an
yeah.
adversary that had been on elevated alert for weeks and had every
Hey,
reason
Janet,
to
you couldn't
expect
sleep.
a major Iranian military response. The precision demonstrated is itself the most important military datum of the entire engagement. FATH 360 impacts were concentrated within specific shelter bays, not distributed across the general base area. Missiles were not hitting the runway or the perimeter. They were hitting the exact building coordinates where F-35S were parked and maintained. This level of terminal accuracy delivered by a ballistic weapon at range requires targeting data of extraordinary resolution and a guidance system of exceptional capability. Both of those requirements point towards something that Western intelligence has been reluctant to fully acknowledge: the degree to which Iran's precision strike capability has matured over the past 5 years, under conditions of complete economic blockade and technological isolation. The FATH 360 inside the weapon that rewrote the rules. The FATH 360 entered the Western defense analysis community's awareness gradually and without particular alarm. Its stated specifications, a range of approximately 120 kilometers, a solid fuel propulsion system, a reported circular error probable in the single-digit meter range, placed it in the category of short to medium range precision ballistic systems. Analysts noted it with measured interest. It was cataloged, assessed, and largely filed under the heading of a regional tactical system useful for hitting fixed targets within a limited operational radius, but not a strategic game changer in the same category as Iran's longer-range Shahab or Sajil systems. Last night demolished that assessment with the same thoroughness that the missiles themselves demolished Israel's aircraft shelters. What the Western analytical community consistently underrated was not the FATH 360's range. It was the combination of its terminal guidance architecture, its salvo employment doctrine, and the operational infrastructure Iran had quietly built to deploy it at scale from dispersed and mobile launch platforms across a geography far wider than its nominal range envelope suggested. Let us start with the terminal guidance system, because this is where the FATH 360 separates itself from every previous generation of Iranian ballistic weapons. Conventional ballistic missiles, including earlier Iranian systems, follow a predictable trajectory through most of their flight path. They can be tracked. Their impact point can be calculated with sufficient accuracy to assign an intercept solution within the time window available to a competent defense system. This is the foundational assumption on which every component of Israel's layered missile defense architecture was designed. The FATH 360 invalidates that assumption in its final phase of flight. As the missile descends through the terminal phase, an onboard guidance system combining inertial navigation with an electro-optical terminal seeker and a radar altimeter activates and begins comparing the ground signature beneath the missile against a preloaded digital target model. This is not a system that is simply following GPS coordinates. It is a system that is looking at the ground, identifying specific structures, and steering itself toward a designated point on a specific building with an accuracy that GPS alone cannot achieve. And more critically, an accuracy that GPS jamming cannot degrade, because the system is no longer dependent on GPS in its final guidance phase. This terminal seeker architecture explains two things simultaneously. It explains the extraordinary accuracy of last night's strikes, impacts clustered within specific shelter bays rather than distributed across the base. And it explains why American GPS jamming operations, which had been running continuously across the region for weeks, produced no meaningful degradation in Iranian strike accuracy.
So it ain't doing that.
The propulsion system compounds the defense challenge. Solid fuel propellant means the FATH 360 requires no liquid fueling sequence before launch.
Happy poop.
A mobile launcher can arrive at a pre-surveyed firing position, erect, and launch within minutes. The launch signature, the thermal bloom that satellites and airborne surveillance systems use to detect missile launches, exists for a fraction of the time that liquid fuel systems require. The warning timeline compresses dramatically. Now layer on top of this the salvo employment doctrine that Iran developed and refined specifically to exploit the reload limitations of Israel's point defense batteries. A single FATH 360 fired against a defended target can be intercepted. The intercept probability is not zero. Iron Dome and David Sling are genuine engineering achievements and should not be dismissed. But Iran was not firing single missiles at defended targets. Iran was firing salvos of 8 to 12 missiles against each designated aim point, with the salvo compressed into a launch window of under 90 seconds from a single battery, and with multiple batteries targeting the same facilities from different approach vectors simultaneously. Against a salvo of 8 missiles arriving from 2 different approach angles within a 30-second window, a point defense battery faces a mathematics problem that has no good solution. It can engage some of the incoming weapons, it cannot engage all of them, and the missiles that the battery does not engage reach their target. Iran's targeting teams calculated the intercept capacity of each Israeli defense battery in the coverage zone, the number of missiles each battery could engage within a specific time window, given its reload cycle, designed their salvo sizes and timing to exceed that capacity by a defined margin. This is not guesswork. This is a careful engineering analysis of the adversary's defense architecture applied to the problem of overwhelming it. The production scale of the FAF 360 program adds a dimension that deserves separate emphasis. These are
Don't
not
come over here
exotic,
playing. I'm gonna get you up out of here.
hand-assembled weapons produced in small quantities for prestige demonstrations. Iranian manufacturing facilities operating under full sanctions pressure with zero access to Western components or precision machine tooling from sanctioned suppliers have been producing FAF 360 systems at a rate that has quietly built a stockpile of meaningful operational depth. The missiles used last night represent a fraction of Iran's available inventory. This is not a one-time capability demonstration. It is a sustainable strike architecture. The self-reliance dimension of this achievement deserves to be stated clearly, because it carries implications that extend far beyond this single conflict. Every component of the FAF 360 propellant chemistry, guidance, electronics, structural materials, manufacturing tooling was developed and produced entirely within Iran. The sanctions architecture that Washington constructed with the explicit intent of preventing Iran from developing exactly this kind of capability has failed in its core objective. Not partially failed, completely failed. What the sanctions actually produce, the outcome that no one in the Western policy establishment wants to state plainly, is an Iranian defense industrial base that is now more self-sufficient, more resilient,
now Donald Trump gonna lay down,
capable of absorbing external pressure than it would have been if Iran had been allowed
trolling.
to purchase weapons systems freely on the international market. Isolation forced innovation. Necessity produced engineering solutions that imported systems would never have generated, because purchased systems do not require the buyer to understand them at the level required to build them from first principles. Iran built the FAF 360 from first principles. That is why it performs the way it performs. And that is why no Western sanction
Please come over here. If you're going to talk that shit, hit the like button.
The international defense community is now conducting an emergency reassessment of every Iranian ballistic system that has been similarly underestimated. If the FAF 360's terminal accuracy and salvo doctrine are indicative of the design philosophy applied across Iran's missile inventory, then the threat calculus for every American base, every allied facility, and every naval asset operating within range of Iranian launch platforms needs to be fundamentally revised. That reassessment is happening right now in classified spaces in Washington, London, and Tel Aviv. The conclusions being reached are not comfortable. Washington's response, paralysis behind the podium. Within hours of the Nevatim strikes, the White House Situation Room was operating at maximum density. The National Security Council convened an emergency session. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs was on secure video link with CENTCOM headquarters in Qatar. The Secretary of State was working the phones to every Gulf partner simultaneously. And from all of that frantic activity, what emerged in the public space was a statement expressing deep concern, reaffirming America's commitment to Israel's security,
right there,
and calling on all parties to exercise restraint. Restraint. The word landed in Tel Aviv like a second strike. To understand the depth of Washington's paralysis in this moment, you need to understand the operational problem that the FAF 360
Trump done
strike
started
has created
mess,
for American military
and now
planners,
he want to make deals and try to act like he ain't for peace, but he is, because he's scared, and he got these trifling folk over here thinking that he really tough and he weak, like his bowels.
Air power presence through carrier strike group positioning and bomber
He
deployment.
begging behind the scenes,
Second,
wanting other countries to negotiate because Iran won't talk to him.
Infrastructure. Third, use that threat to compel de-escalation through diplomatic back channels. Fourth, if diplomacy fails, execute precision strikes against Iranian military assets that degrade capability without triggering a full regional war. Every
Israel
step in
is
that
up in
playbook
smoke.
now faces a complication that did not exist 48 hours ago. Step 1, demonstrating air power presence requires moving carrier strike groups into operational range. But the repositioning of American carriers away from the Gulf of Oman in recent days, following the demonstration of Iranian anti-ship missile capability, means that the nearest American carrier aviation is currently operating from standoff distances that significantly reduce the tempo and volume of strike missions it can generate. Moving carriers back into the Gulf requires accepting a risk level that American Naval Command has just explicitly demonstrated it is not comfortable accepting. Step 2, presenting a credible retaliation threat requires that Iran believes the threat will be executed. But Iran's behavior last night, striking 40 F-35F inside hardened shelters at the most heavily defended airbase in the Middle East, reflects a leadership calculation that American retaliation will be.
It gotta come down, baby. You gotta come down. Gotta come down. Hold on, let me show y'all something. Why you trying to come over here like you run something, like you finna pop your collar? No, hey Roger, sadly feels. Okay, since I see y'all done popped out, before I cast you away.
Every on social, anything. Every citizen I talk to, hear, see on social, anything, once those files released. Was it every single person in Congress that voted for it to release them? And was there every single person in the Senate except one person?
Everyone in the House except one.
Everyone in the House except
and every senator. But I got to give credit not just to Massey's coverage, because he's got billionaires funding against him, and the billionaires don't like me these days either. I mean, you go after the Epstein class, you make a lot of enemies. You know, look at my ex, and you see the people who go after Massey and me. But it wasn't just Massey and me. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace stuck their neck out to sign a discharge petition that the two of us had to force a vote on it. They got bullied by the White House. They got bullied by the Speaker. They got threatened. Their political careers were threatened. Marjorie Taylor Greene lost her seat, gave up her seat in Congress over this.
Yeah, didn't the president tell her? What did he tell her?
He told her that she's betraying him. Look, Marjorie Taylor Greene was for Donald Trump when he came down the escalator. She was with Donald Trump when he ran in 2020 and lost. She was with Donald Trump when he said the election was stolen. I don't disagree with her, but she was out there defending it. She was with Donald Trump in 2024 when DeSantis and others.
And he kicked her ass to the curb. Has he fired any of the men?
Donald Trump. And when she joined the petition, she says, "Well, I'm going to explain to Trump that he actually can be a hero. He's going to come on board. I'm telling you, he's going to come on board." She said, Trump says to him, "Well, you're hurting some of my friends. This is not the right thing. You're hurting people. How about hurting the survivors? How about hurting the women?
Yeah, how about the fucking kids?
How about the kids?
Hurting your friends? You know, gives a shit about your fucking friends. We give a fuck about kids."
And these are working class girls. I wish people could see their stories and how they were exploited. It's a class issue. Rich, powerful people connected to politicians, figuring out, well, who's vulnerable, who doesn't have a father, who doesn't have a lot of money.
Right.
You know, how do we get that girl to start with giving us massages? You know what the saddest thing that I heard from a survivor? They were saying that the survivors are guilty because the survivors were actually recruiters of aiding and abetting other girls in getting raped or getting abused.
So one of the survivors says, yeah, I did that. You know why I did that? Because I was so afraid that I was going to be abused, that I went and I got other junior high girls and other high school girls to take my place because I didn't want to be abused.
Junior high girls.
Wow.
Junior high girls, and we can't release the files. Before we move on, and we just both get pissed off on the side of what we're doing, what we talked about, Ryan Montgomery, Tim Tebow, I told you about Elizabeth Phillips, who I just interviewed, we're bringing on Schlep. I mean,
Right,
it's
Melissa.
such a problem in this country. I'm just curious, what can parents do right now? Not call their congressman, not call their senator. That shit's not working. What can people do right now on their own to protect their kids?
One, they need to know how widespread this is. You know how it's widespread? I realize this because since I've been affiliated with Epstein, I get stopped on an airport. People will say, hey, Congressman, can I tell you about what happened to me?
Oh, wow.
I've known people for 30 years. And they said, you know, Ro, something happened. One person told me, you know, when I was 4 to 8 years old, my babysitter's boyfriend abused me. And I never told my mom or my dad, because my dad would have killed the guy and my mom would have totally lost it. So I've held this with me. Yeah. And she said to me, Ro, it's like a box. You put it in a box and you put it away, but it comes back at any moment. And the amount of people who have faced this, I'm not saying all from
That's
Epstein,
why I do not
just face this in this country, is
play with
extraordinary,
victims.
and it's sickening.
Over here.
It's a national crisis. First thing we need to realize is we've got a moral crisis in this country.
Yep.
Second thing is when you're having your kids go to a sleepover, go to a sports team, go on a field trip, be paranoid. I mean, I don't want to scare folks. When you have them on a gaming site, when you have them on the internet, they need to be
But
paranoid.
letting me know that I'm
Parents need to
not
understand
tripping.
that this is not something that happens in a remote part of the country. This could happen to your kids. But the main reason I want these Epstein files out is because it'll force a reckoning.
Going
in
to
this country.
church, I used to
It'll be the
stay
biggest scandal I've
upstairs
fundamentally
with
been
the
in 100
adults.
years,
I
'cause it's gonna
didn't want to
expose
hang with
how sick our
the other
elite culture
kids.
is.
I wanted
Where for
to
their own
learn
gratification,
truth.
they think that they can just abuse these girls and nothing will happen. And that kind of culture has permeated across the nation. They need to be shamed. They need to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
You know, John, there are buildings named after some of these people. And these survivors go around and they're seeing these people celebrated in the financial world, in the political world.
And Trump wants to
honored,
be all over
and
the
they
place
committed the most heinous
so that
act.
the
It's like,
victims
we
will
may not agree
forever
how much. I think most
remember
Americans agree you don't
him.
rape American girls. Like that's the line you don't cross.
Trump know that. And Trump wanted to do it at the White House. Hmm.
You had mentioned earlier, you
Oh,
think,
wow.
you know, all these billionaires are building these underground bunkers and they have
Mystery schools.
access
I know it's a fact.
Yeah.
But
Mystery schools.
Came back from the plane. There's some other stuff with so Matt Tomo was a good friend of mine. He was out in Syria working his job for the regiment. He was a
British SAS operator thought
he was hanging around with my team, and I told you my team was over there, my 6-man team.
On Delta Force.
So he used to phone me up, and the TL used to phone me up and be like, oh, I've got a new Bravo 6, you're not Bravo 6 anymore. Matt is taking your spot, and I'm like, fuck, what the fuck's going on? It's just shit talking, it's all good fun. But when I got out there, he wasn't going on the ground. He was training them to do sniper shit, whatever he was doing, and the partner force. And he didn't really have that connection with May until I turned up. And so there's 2 Matts, one's the team leader and one's Matt Tomrow. So I kind of sat
below the
Matt
church.
Tomrow, and I was like, well, why the fuck are you not going on the ground? He's like, oh, well, I just haven't really asked. I didn't really, I didn't want to step on anyone's toes. They're doing their own thing. I said, fuck that, dude. You're an awesome operator. Why the fuck would they not want to have an extra pair of eyes on the ground? So I speak to Matt, and I'm like, do you mind if Matt goes on the ground with you? Like, can you do that? He's like, yeah, fucking no, you vouch for him. I'm like, yeah, dude, I fucking trust him. I'd go through the door with him. Like, that's the biggest compliment an operator can tell anyone. Like, I'd fucking go through the door with him any day of the week. So he's like, yeah, cool. So he starts going out on the ground, and I was there for, we did some jobs together. Then the deployment finishes for us. He stays. He's on a 6-month rotation, and we come halfway through his, so we do our 4 months and we go home.
Military dirty.
A squadron come out. And it's only a couple of weeks of being back in Bragg, trying to fucking get your head around that mad deployment. And I get a phone call. And no, Matt's been killed. I came back from that deployment. There's some other stuff with
They killed his friend.
So
military.
One of the guys was in rep.
Why are they not claiming responsibility?
Because they want to keep their safe havens intact, and they don't actually care if it was Al Qaeda. They just want to take it to us, right?
Oh shit!
It does not matter if it's ISIS, if it's HTS, if it's Hamas. They're all one, right? They're all an Islamic army. And nobody's taking this Islamic army concept seriously, but Hamza views all the terrorist groups in the world now under his Islamic army, and that's the way he views them. And he's almost like Iranian Quds Force, where he's like, okay, this is my proxy here, this is my proxy here, this is my proxy here. Like he's planning an attack in Lebanon against some sort of U.S. interest, right? It's an Al Qaeda Hezbollah plot. But when it occurs, only Hezbollah has to take responsibility. You won't even know Al Qaeda is involved in it. Just like Giuliani's Blitzkrieg, Al Qaeda has supported that, right? They gave him 10,000 fighters, right? Taliban gave him camps in Afghanistan. Are you hearing anything about the Taliban and Al Qaeda right now when they're talking about Syria?
No.
Zero. Did you hear their names come up at all for October 7th?
No.
Yeah. Hamza's killing it. So Hamza now wants to do completely covert action and let everything fall under this Islamic army. And the really interesting thing is his father was incredibly patient, right? Remember, everybody knows it took him 5 years to prove 9/11. And Osama bin Laden was like, hey, we can create the caliphate. I'm okay if it takes 1,000 years. Hamza wants to do everything in his lifetime. He wants the Islamic caliphate to be created in his lifetime. He wants to bring all of his father's goals, to fruition, and one of them was take it to America, right, on U.S. soil, make them feel the war zones at home. And Hamza takes that very serious, and that's why he has gone full force on this plot. The interesting part is Hamza will approve a plot in one meeting. Right, bring it in, brief this plan you have for the embassy. Yep, I'm good. So he moves a lot faster. And actually, of all things, the IRGC and Iran have complained. And they're even, when they work with Al Qaeda, they're like, we want Saif al-Adil. He's more calm, cool, collected. Like, we trust him more. We don't think he's going to cause a big ruckus. But they're like, Hamza's a loose cannon. He's running at full speed. We don't know how to control him. So it's almost an interesting thing. So it's funny, right? Other governments are seeing this, and our government won't even talk about him being alive, and he's running fast against us.
Why are they not?
A change to the ROE was like
meant that
Former Navy
people
SEAL
were
on Barack
taking more
Obama.
risk
Insane.
and in some cases getting killed.
Every citizen I talk to, hear, see on social, anything, once those files were released, was it every single person in Congress that voted for it to release them? And was there every single person in the Senate except one person?
Everyone in the House except one.
Everyone in the House except
and every senator. But I got to give credit not just to Massey's,
but that they have access to all this ancient knowledge through the occult.
Two mystery schools. The largest electrical site on planet Earth is the Three Gorges Dam in China, right? So it's the largest concrete structure ever created by humans. Massive, massive hydroelectric dam in China. It has a nominal nameplate generation of about 22 gigawatts. In practicality, it makes about 17 gigawatts. Huge, huge energy facility. And it distributes these through massive electrical cables that snake all throughout China. We have a pipeline coming down from Canada called the Keystone Pipeline. The Keystone Pipeline is a pipe about this wide. It's standard steel, right, about that thick. And you can calculate how much energy does that thing push. And this is going to be a chemical energy figure, not electrical, but it's basically the same thing, it's just energy. The Keystone Pipeline moves about 50 gigawatts of continuous power. So about 2 Three Gorges dams, we can call it a 6 Gorges dam if you want, 2 to 3 times the Three Gorges dam worth of power in a pipeline that's this big. Wow. So hydrocarbons are civilizational level technology. They are required to move energy between nations to power high energy density formats to get to Mars, right? If we want to go to Mars, we're doing that with hydrocarbons, right? Starship is powered by methane, right, which is a hydrocarbon. So there's all of these use cases which I think are very underappreciated, and we'll continue to use hydrocarbons for a very long time.
You know, earlier also we had talked about how Russia is influencing NGOs and lobbying firms and stuff about, you know, to create a narrative against nuclear. And so I'm curious, I mean, when it comes to energy, I mean, it's obviously a very profitable business. And so when you are a threat to oil and gas, green energy, still, I mean, do you feel like you have narratives against you that are put on through them? I mean, I read something, I don't know, maybe about 6 months ago that said that, you remember the big power outage in Texas? Yeah. They had that winter storm. Was that last year or 2 years ago?
2 years ago, yeah, something like that.
You know, we had all heard, you know, oh, it's because, you know, the solar panels were freezing and the wind turbines were freezing. Yep. What I actually read was that the pipelines from gas were freezing, and the gas industry was really on top of it and had created this narrative and pushed it out that it was, oh, the wind turbines had froze and the solar panels had snow and shit on them and they couldn't produce. And so it was if it was true, which I don't know if it is, then that's, maybe you know, was that true?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. The freeze in Texas was very related to gas. Yeah, absolutely. There's temperature profiles where gas doesn't work as well, especially if you don't build it for that. And this was a very uncharacteristic event for Texas, and it hadn't really been built for that yet. The largest electrical site on planet Earth is the Three Gorges Dam in China.
I've made this statement many times that Iran doesn't want to end this war until they inflict enough damage to deter any future war. But it's hard to really tell how much success, though, the US is having. Obviously, CENTCOM will put out reports that they've destroyed, or especially Israel, 70-80% of the missile launchers. Iran would say, no, that's not the case, because they have them on the ground. Seeing the amount of bombs that were dropped on the country, the amount of targets that were hit as well, and how the amount of missiles being fired have dropped significantly, even more than the...
Before we get to what we know about the beating that Israel is taking and the desperation of Benjamin Netanyahu.
We're going to end on this one, y'all.
Last night persuade you of the wisdom of his decision to invade Iran?
Not at all. I didn't listen, and at 4 a.m. this morning, I got a condensation from a friend, and then I turned on Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi and listened to him for about 45 minutes in exquisite language explain why Donald Trump is a fool.
Can Trump, well, can is not fair to you. Has Trump made the case for war?
No, I don't think so at all. He's tried desperately. He's assigned everything in the world from state sponsor of terrorism, which Iran is certainly not. In fact, of those states in the world who may at one time or another over the last half century sponsor the terrorist group, Iran would be at the bottom. Incidentally, Israel would be at the top, and the United States would be right there with it.
You're welcome,
and I'm using
Don.
the definition of terrorism that we invented in the Bush administration.
Danielle.
So most of the things he said before, they are just as useless now as they were before, and in many respects, they're just as curious because, as I was explaining earlier on another podcast, we know these military movements that are taking place or not taking place. We know about the retreat of Ford, for example, back to Norfolk, and other things like that. And we're puzzled because we don't see any coherent military operation going on. What we see is chaos. And let me give you an example of the chaos and of Marco Rubio's negligence and Pete Hegseth doubling down on that negligence. When Bahrain was struck and virtually eliminated from the state powers of consequence in the Persian Gulf, we evacuated our people so fast that all they could take was a little kit bag. Now 2,000 of those, 2,000 judge, have landed at Norfolk. And they're being taken care of by the citizens of Norfolk and Salem and Chesapeake and other places in that region, not by the Navy because they have no quarters, they have no place for them, they weren't scheduled to come back. And I suspect this chaos is going on throughout the military complex, and we're just not hearing about it.
Timothy,
These people had to get out. They were going to die if they didn't get out. So they had to get out, and they were given no prior warning whatsoever.
Jimmy Webb, you knew his father, probably still do, the former Secretary of the Navy, and Jimmy is a Marine who regrets his duty in Iraq, just told us there's no question in his mind but that Gerald R. Ford, the largest and most expensive aircraft carrier in the world, was sabotaged by naval personnel who had just had enough. Are you surprised? Are you surprised to hear that?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, you don't
Did y'all hear that?
Piss off, pardon my French, sailors on a ship that's
his duty in Iraq, just told us there's no question in his mind but that Gerald R. Ford, the largest and most expensive aircraft carrier in the world, was sabotaged by naval personnel who had just had enough. Are you surprised? Are you surprised to hear that?
Oh, wow.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, you don't want to piss off, pardon my French, sailors on a ship that's so big that if you lose one, you'll be searching for a week to find him. You just don't want to do that. Submarines are a little bit different, but they have their own quality too. But you just don't want to do that. You have a real job as the captain of a carrier. Now, an embarked flag, different thing altogether, but an admiral on board the carrier because the group is commanded by a carrier.
They have lied on a lot of countries.
Navy captain. They are top of the Navy.
Trump has started a lot of mess.
And they know
on lies.
This is one of the most difficult jobs in the world. So anything that adds to the lowering of the morale of those sailors, they're on like, the proverbial do. And in this case, they couldn't curb it.
Trump making deals with Putin. I don't know why you doing thumbs down. Trump loves Putin. That's his friend.
Nuclear weapons.
He is working with Putin.
You to a lot of Trump.
Y'all have been misled.
This is one clip I'd like you to comment on. It's less than a minute. Chris, cut number 4.
They were also rapidly building a vast stockpile.
Yeah, he was eating all up in Putin's ass, remember?
And would soon have had missiles that could reach the American homeland, Europe, and virtually any other place on Earth. Iran's strategy was so obvious. They wanted to produce as many missiles as possible, and they did, with the longest range possible, and they had some weapons that nobody believed they had. We just learned
so
that.
I don't know where you've been, Cyrus.
We took them all out so that
Trump
no one
loves
would
Putin.
really dare stop them. And their race for a nuclear bomb,
he is not for the U.S.
like nobody's ever seen before.
Why would anybody believe him rather than his director of national intelligence? His intelligence services have almost unanimously denied and defied what he just said.
That's a good question, Judge. I don't think he cares. He's signaled before that he doesn't care about what Tulsi says or about anybody in the intelligence community. Let's just examine some of those lies, though, and they are patent lies. Let's look at Korea, for example, North Korea, Pyongyang. got a nuclear weapon, had a nuclear weapon for quite a while now, since 2002 at least, when they told us they had them, have warheads, can match those warheads with missiles, and could hit California for sure, and we think now they could probably hit Washington, D.C. Anybody talking about them? Why are we not concerned about them? I would say they're more a criminal state than any other state in the world. Why are we not concerned about them? Because they know Pyongyang and the North Korean part of the peninsula would disappear if they shot a missile at us. That's called deterrence. We lived on it for about 70 years. Why the hell does the deterrence work, even if it were true that Iran has these kinds of missiles? And oh, by the way, if you destroyed them all, as you just said, Donald, how come a whole bevy of them just hit Israel and smacked the bejesus out of Israel?
Because Trump is listening to Netanyahu. He's not listening to his own professionals.
And increasingly, I think Hegseth. I do. I think Hegseth is the Sith Lord's Darth Vader. I know you're old enough to know that. True.
I am. I do remember Darth Vader. And of course, I, as you know, worked with Pete. He was not a madman or a monster when I worked with him. This side of him that has come out praying
power and prayer
for the deaths of others is reprehensible. Can't be received well by the troops, Larry.
No, it's not. I have not heard troops talk about a Secretary of Defense since McNamara. And they talked about McNamara in Vietnam when I was there very, very violently. And it was a morale problem from time to time. Now they're talking about Hegseth that way.
Well, Colonel, what purpose is served by the, or was even served by the now nearly totally destroyed U.S. bases in the Gulf?
At a point in time, even though I was adamantly against it, and so was Powell when it first started, they showed that we understood that when we took Saddam Hussein out, we had to become the balancer ourselves. If we were going to treat Iran as an inimical power, as antithetical to our interests in the Gulf, which was hard to get away from. Congress passed the Iran and Iraq Liberation Act, after all. If we were going to do that, then we had to become the balancer. So we began to flow forces actually onto the ground and at the port like Bahrain for the Fifth Fleet into the region. A huge mistake in my mind. I think we should have just let the balance go imbalanced and seen what happened, and still had forces offshore in case we had to weigh in heavily. When we decided to go on the ground, we corrupted our whole presence in that region, and now we're paying for it. We're paying for it dearly.
Colonel, how reckless would you say, and I'll put in the word incompetent, but please choose the adjective that you wish, was the Pentagon's preparation or lack of preparation for this war?
Terrible, terrible. 2,000 sailors just landed. I've been on so many podcasts this morning, Judge. Forgive me if I repeat something, but 2,000 were not alerted to anything but put as much as you can in your kit bag and come with me.
Oh, wow.
And now they're descending on Norfolk with no one to take care of them because the Navy has no facilities for them. And if it weren't for the citizens of Norfolk and Surrey and Chesapeake and Hampton Roads taking care of them, at least on an interim basis, they would have no bed to sleep in, no food to eat, no clothes to wear, no sundries, no brushing teeth or anything else, because they didn't do anything about it. They didn't warn them at all. And when they got devastatingly struck in Bahrain, they had to be evacuated immediately. I suspect this is going on in other places too, and these troops are arriving in CONUS, the United States, in essence, with no preparation having been made for their coming. Now, the Army has a little bit better. The Marines have a little bit better situation because they have barracks and things they can put them up in. The Navy just doesn't have the facilities to maintain troops on shore who should be on ships or overseas. They just don't. So it's citizens in Virginia who are taking care of these people.
Wow. What purpose would be served, or how wrong would it be to introduce boots on the ground in the Iran war now, Colonel?
Well, there's nothing that tells me that I see happening right now, whether it's alerting the forward deployed MEU in Naha, Okinawa, or it's alerting the one in Southern California, or the Rangers in Washington, or you go through the litany, 82nd Airborne and such. There's nothing that shows a coherent plan, nothing whatsoever. This all looks like, we've been talking about this a lot in the retired military community. It all looks like feinting. And it looks like really inept feinting, too, because the Iranians have proven again and again they're not stupid. They're pretty smart, very smart in some instances. I just listened to Arachi, for example, giving a interview to Al Jazeera English, and it was quintessential Sergei Lavrov or Wang Yi. I mean, this guy has really got his act together in English or Farsi. And he outlined how Witkoff has not talked to a single Iranian. Not a single Iranian, and I believe him. He's talking to intermediaries, sometimes third and fourth level intermediaries, and he comes back and gives Trump a cabinet briefing in front of the American people that's just full, because he hasn't talked to anyone. And Arachi was very specific about what the conditions for Iran to halt this conflict are, particularly against Israel. And there's no way in the world that these conditions are going to be met by this current regime in either Tel Aviv or Washington. So that means we got an internal conflict. What are we looking at? We're looking at $200 a barrel for WTI and Brent crude. We're looking at an utterly destabilized world economy. And Trump is talking about the Strait of Hormuz doesn't matter to us because we have our own oil. Well, I got news for you, Mr. President. The Strait of Hormuz is very important to 60% of the world, and you're going to find out how dependent you are on that 60%. Just keep on going.
He probably already
It's almost as if he lacks an understanding of basic economics 101 when it comes to how you evaluate the price of oil. Colonel RT just posted, Iran launches Wave 90 Phase 3 missiles at the Amazon data center in Bahrain, which was destroyed.
Oh, that's really bad news.
Yeah.
That's a target that was on their second tier list. Let me back up and explain. The first tier list of targets that was struck with devastating accuracy and disruption was targets that they had picked out to hit that were basically U.S. targets. They might have been in Saudi Arabia. They might have had some incidental damage to Saudi facilities and such. They were in Bahrain, for example, destroyed the largest refinement facility in the Gulf. But they really were hitting the Fifth Fleet headquarters, and they knew they had to do that. So that's the first tier, which they did extremely well. The second tier are economic targets, and they are regional targets belonging to the Saudis, the Emirates, and such. And they are devastating if they hit them all with the accuracy they did the others, because they will spiral the world into global depression.
Wow. Colonel, I'd like to play for you, if you may have seen it, a 90-second clip from a man you and I admire very much, Professor John Mearsheimer. This has gotten over 1 million views on a couple of Twitter places where we've posted it. And I'd like your thoughts on it. It's very strong and very direct. Chris?
We didn't even make any attempt to argue that the Iranians had done something militarily to precipitate our attack on Iran. There's no provocation here. We just decided we were going to go out and we were going to whack the Iranians, both last June and again this time. Furthermore, both the Israelis and the Americans are running around the world assassinating leaders. This was not something that the United States engaged in large part, or certainly in an overt way in the past. And here we are. And furthermore, there's the Gaza genocide, right? The Israelis. Here's an apartheid state executing a genocide in Gaza, and we're complicitous in that genocide. If there were Nuremberg trials, right, where the Israelis and the Americans were brought before the court, President Trump, along with President Netanyahu and many of their advisors, would be hanged, right? This is a genocide, is it not? It is a genocide. the Israelis and the Americans were brought before the court, President Trump, along with President Netanyahu and many of their advisors, would be hanged, right? This is a genocide, is it not? It is a genocide. What did we do in 1945 with those Germans who executed a genocide in Europe and who were not only accused of executing a genocide, but those German leaders were accused of launching a war of aggression? It bears remarkable resemblance to what we and the Israelis have now twice done against.
Colonel, our President Trump, Prime Minister Netanyahu, and Secretary Hegseth candidates for prosecution for war crimes.
Yes.
John is absolutely right, and had he had more time, he could have marshaled a wealth of other evidence to that effect. And yes, they are. Will it ever happen? As Mao Zedong said, international law comes out of the barrel of a gun. We have a gun. It's not the biggest anymore, though. And we should be worried. We should be worried because I suspect that one day we will be hauled before the world's bar of justice, such as it is. Whether it'll be Trump and Hegseth and the crew here,
I agree.
One wonders, one hopes it would be
No,
them.
when somebody do not agree with the fake Israels, Jim Young, yeah, those are fake Jews. What are you talking about? A fake anti-Semitism, all of that is fake. Because they're not real Jews. They're devil worshippers. So what are you talking about? That's a lie. That is made up, just like the state of Israel is made up. Stolen land. So you a lie. And you are a anti-Semite, mosquito, whatever it is, because you basing it on a lie and deception. So we rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Get out, Satan. Get out with your lies. You're not welcome here. Y'all, woo! They come over here with that made up word. I'm going to get them out. Woo! Don't come over here manipulating. It's a lie. And if you believe that, you are a liar too. By Satan.
Down the road somewhere. Otherwise, we are off for the races to a totally chaotic world.
Before I ask you directly about Prime Minister Netanyahu, who, by the way,
anytime somebody don't believe in y'all deceit,
as a member of the Knesset,
y'all try to put a name on him.
In favor of legislation imposing the capital punishment of hanging only on Palestinians who are convicted by military tribunals, not on Israelis who are convicted of the same crime. Something he never does unless the vote is so close that his vote is needed. But before we get to him, here's a footage from a city east of Tel Aviv, just posted, that Chris found. He's still getting it ready for us, showing debris from Iranian missiles. Apparently, the Iranians, yes, it's nighttime in Israel as we speak. It shows streets flooded after debris from an Iranian ballistic missile struck and burst a local water sewer pipeline during the attack. Eyewitness videos and Israeli media confirm no injuries, just massive infrastructure damage and sewage
it's a lie.
Spilling into a road.
Our eyes are no longer covered to the lies and the deceit.
There you have it.
I'm going to call him out.
How dangerous will Netanyahu be when he's desperate, Colonel?
Very.
Very.
Very. This hoisting the champagne glasses that I understand happened after that law you were talking about.
Yes, yes. By the way, I don't know if Netanyahu wore this, but Ben-Gvir, who introduced the legislation, had a lapel pin on in the shape of a hangman's noose.
That would be Ben-Gvir. That's a site. You know, the guy was convicted by the Israeli courts of terrorism and being a criminal and was headed to jail and may even have served, I forget. And Netanyahu rescued him, brought him up, and made him his security head. This is just incredible. But yes, you're absolutely right. And Netanyahu is hiding a lot of this. I looked at the stats 2 days ago on hospitalizations of people from the missile fire. 5,917. And then I found a passage in Haaretz that verified that number. I think I got it right. It was 5,900 something. And Netanyahu immediately reacted with, well, only 117 are left in hospital. The rest went home. Well, I wanted to ask, did they go home with an arm and a leg missing or what?
Right,
there's a
Roger.
huge number of Israelis in hospitals
Get
because
behind
of the shelling.
the true
and
good
you
American
understand that
citizens.
they're 99% of the time underground in very, very
Oh, they
solid
back
bomb shelters.
Satan. Oh, okay.
That's a lot of casualties.
So, Roger, you
for
backing
that sort of
Satan? Get
situation.
behind the true good American
There's
citizens. Back
the lapel pin
Satan.
that Ben
Yeah, well,
DeVere,
then you get your
half
ass
of
up
whose
on out of
face
here,
you
too.
see as the first
Devil.
of those three people.
That's the man. That's the man that should be before the bar. First
Not
of all,
over
he
here.
should be before the
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's what I'm like. Where did you switch? Okay.
Colonel McGregor said that
Satan
the
sucks.
Pentagon's almost as bad as the IDF when it comes to hiding our own casualties.
thee
How many
behind us.
injured? How many killed in action? Do we know, Colonel Wilkerson?
But Doug knows. We hit them in World War II.
And we
hit
rebuked
them
the
in the
devil.
Pacific. We hit them in Europe.
In Jesus' name.
Yeah, we did. We just don't like to.
We know
military officers don't
he's
like to
scared
say
of the
that they
name
had
of Jesus.
78,000 casualties in a single battle. So I think right now we're hiding them to the extent that we're probably in the couple, 3, maybe even 400 figure. And I don't know how many of those are really serious and how many of them are just, returned to the battlefield in 6 weeks or whatever. But I'm hearing from places like Landstuhl, which is our ongoing movement hospital in Germany, which we've cleared out. You probably know. No civilians can go there because we're expecting a lot of casualties. And other places like Walter Reed, the National Military Medical Center, I have contacts there. What the flow will eventually be, I don't know, because most of them are overseas right now
Trump
in
is the
regional
devil.
hospitals. But I think the casualty count's going to go
no
up.
lies
You watch
found and none of what
those,
y'all are
AWACS
saying.
get
No
hit at
lies
Sultan.
found.
And I couldn't watch the second round of films that came around without seeing a couple of people getting caught in the fireball from the AWACS being hit by the missile. So there are casualties. Now, those might have been Saudis. They could have been Saudi maintenance crew or whatever. But I suspect there are some Americans that are getting hurt, and we just don't know about it, and they're hiding it.
Here's President Trump's most recent post and boast. The biggest bridge in Iran comes tumbling down, never to be used again. Much more to follow. It is time for Iran to make a deal before it is too late, and there is nothing left of what still could become a great country, President Donald J. Trump. So he's boasting about the destruction
but begging on the cool
of an exclusively civilian infrastructure. It looks like a bridge over a valley of homes and a waterway.
And Arachie said very clearly, ceasefire, cessation of hostile attitude, and reparations. He said some other things too, but I'm concentrating on the reparations. Donald, you're going to rebuild that bridge. The only way you're going to get out of this mess in a sane, sound fashion is you're going to provide reparations. And I'm sure that bridge, knowing how much it meant to the Iranians and the engineering feat in putting it together, it was all for civilian traffic. There wasn't any military significance to it whatsoever. You're going to rebuild that bridge, Donald.
Wow. I just learned that my Newsmax colleague, John Huddy, was forced to take cover as sirens were wailing in the middle of the night in Tel Aviv. Hello, Colonel. Thank you very much for your time. There's John.
We gotta meet sometime in the future before I pass out of this world at a better time.
Well, if you're going to be up here, let me know. If not, I'll meet you halfway and come down to D.C.
Okay, let me hear this one. Hold on. Combat surgeon. Everybody's speaking out against this mess. You went too far. You did none of what you said you were going to do. Why is this not pulling up?
Ask questions, but tick-tock. It's all coming out, Donald. Even your war crimes and your catastrophic and disastrous war against Iran, it's not going to distract the people from your cover-up of the Epstein files.
Sure
and
is
now
not.
Donald Trump's throwing tantrums saying, I thought that this war was going to... No, Donald, your dark past is surfacing and people are getting closer and closer. Shout out to Democrats on the House Oversight Committee who continue to push forward, and shout out to some Republicans as well, like Thomas Massie and others who are pushing forward. So what we're learning now is Donald Trump is considering firing Pam Bondi.
Oh, that's
Donald
done.
Trump thought that his Attorney General Pam Bondi can make this all go away, that Donald Trump's dark past, the Epstein files, the cover-up of the child sex trafficking ring would all just disappear, that the files could be hidden, that people wouldn't ask questions, but tick-tock, Donald, your time is up, and nothing you can do can distract we the people. So the latest reporting from the New York Times is that the potential termination of Donald Trump's attorney...
If it is invalid, we promise a tenfold refund. This denture can be successfully worn in just 1 second.
Donald Trump has fired Attorney General Pam Bondi. Let me repeat that. Donald Trump has fired Attorney General Pam Bondi, according to multiple sources and as reported by the Daily Mail and others. Pam Bondi was begging not to be fired last night before Donald Trump gave the address to the nation when Trump told her, I'm going to fire you. She was begging over and over again. We're hearing it was very dramatic. She was almost crying. Please don't fire me. Well, she just got fired moments ago. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche will now serve as the acting Attorney General. Donald Trump posted a message that Pam Bondi will now be in private practice. She will be far away from the government, although she'll probably use her private practice job to do things with the government. But more on that later. Pam Bondi is a great American patriot, Donald Trump posted, and a loyal friend who faithfully served as my Attorney General over the past year. Pam did a tremendous job overseeing a massive crackdown in crime across our country, with murders plummeting to their lowest level since 1900. They were already plummeting under former President Biden. Donald Trump goes, "We love Pam." I'll translate that for you. Don't tell anybody about the Epstein secrets, Pam. He goes, we love Pam.
Don't tell anybody you were in them.
Transitioning to a much needed and important new job in the private sector. Pause there. What, probably helping people get pardons with your administration, with their family? To be announced at a date in the near future. Why would you have anything to do with that? And our Deputy Attorney General, a very talented and respected legal mind, Todd Blanche, will step in to serve as acting Attorney General. Thank you for your attention to this matter, Donald J. Trump. As I mentioned, the Daily Mail exclusive, Bondi begged Donald Trump not to fire her during dramatic White House showdown, as Insider reveals his final straw. Also,
The Daily Mail reporting that Trump told Pam Bondi shortly before the Iran speech on Wednesday night that she would soon be fired. Trump's reasoning for the sudden dismissal comes in part because the president believes Bondi tipped off Eric Swalwell about the FBI's efforts to release investigative documents relating to his relationship with Christine. I think it has a lot more to do with the Epstein files and the cover-up that Donald Trump wanted being botched by Pam Bondi. But okay, this was the moment where state regime media, which calls itself Fox News, confirmed that Pam Bondi was out as AG and Todd Blanche would be the interim AG. I want you to watch the moment that took place. Let's play this clip.
She feels betrayed. Got off the phone with President Trump. We have a big scoop. Pam Bondi will soon leave her job as the Attorney General. She is going to get a different job within the administration. It doesn't sound like there is any bad blood between her and President Trump, but it does seem like they want her to go and do something else. And in an interim role, she will be replaced by Todd Blanche, who is currently her deputy at the Justice Department. So it doesn't sound like Blanche is being elevated long term to the Attorney General. They said about somebody else that the president wants to go in there.
And what is Norm doing?
President Trump soon will announce to the entire world that it is the end of Pam Bondi's time as the Attorney General.
Somewhere
he still thinks that she is a great person and that she did a good job.
Said that this guy,
and he still wants her in the fold because she will still be an important part of the administration, he tells me, but no longer as the top law enforcement officer of the United States. That,
and then he gossip about it.
Is going to be. Now, what are some of the Democratic Congress members saying? Look, Pam Bondi is set to have her deposition taken before the House Oversight Committee
and that ain't going nowhere.
14th. She's still under subpoena, so what's going to happen to that? Democratic Congress member Maxwell Frost posts, Pam Bondi still has to testify under oath in front of the Oversight Committee regarding the Epstein files. This does not get her out of that bipartisan lawful subpoena.
And now she don't have no cushion.
We'll see her soon. Democratic Congresswoman Summer Lee posts, so glad I didn't listen to James Comer when he told me to stop bitching about impeaching Bondi and holding her accountable.
She don't have no cushion now.
Congresswoman Lee was leading the impeachment efforts, and the impeachment documents were going to be introduced
and she gonna get
as soon as Democrats took control of Congress, and Bondi would have been impeached. Pablo Manriquez, Midas Touch D.C. correspondent, writes, someone needs to find Jamie Raskin so he can say, who's the washed up loser lawyer now? Bondi. Remember, though, last week, too, there was a sign that I was focused on a lot that Bondi's days were numbered when MAGA Republican Congress member James Comer was also throwing Bondi under the bus. Watch this. Let's play it.
Well, I think the Justice Department has botched this. I don't think anyone in America, Republican or avid Trump supporter, would defend the way that this has been rolled out. Having said that, it's very complicated because of all the lawsuits. And here's another thing.
And let's just rewind a little bit and watch Bondi's career collapse. Remember back in February when Bondi gave that interview on state regime media, right when they pulled that stunt with the influencers at the White House holding the fake Epstein files, that little thin binder. And then she's like, okay. That wasn't it, but I've got the files on my desk. Remember that? Play this clip.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president for all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said,
high as the Eiffel Tower?
Not yet.
Remember when she called Jamie Raskin a washed-up lawyer? Remember that? You were a washed-up loser lawyer. Okay, Pam Bondi, you're telling a constitutional scholar Congress member that he's a washed-up loser lawyer? Okay, here, play this clip.
I mean, you can let her filibuster all day long, but not on our watch. Not on our time. No way. And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me.
Yeah, I did tell you because we saw what you did in the Senate.
You're a lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Committee will be in order.
order.
Time, and I should get back at least 45 seconds.
We will give you a few more seconds. I
Not
said
a
that
few more,
already.
45 seconds.
Okay.
I remember Bondi's crash out over Epstein, her famous line, the Dow is over 50,000. Here, play this clip.
Fine after a car accident until this happens. Most people don't realize that even
Baby.
accidents that seem minor can financially destroy you.
That Dow song.
The Dow is over 50,000. Here, play this clip.
The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming.
Please.
That's what we should be talking about.
Okay.
We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything?
Where
That's what they
were
just
you
asked.
8 years ago?
Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan.
Mark, where were you 8 years ago?
Be in order.
Mr. Jordan.
Hold on. Where were you 8 years ago? Huh? Why you eating all up in the diaper? Where were you 8 years ago? Mark, Jarman, Jack, ASS, where was you? You was eating out of the Trump dump? Huh? Where were you when all those kids were being raped and murdered? Where were you? Yeah, you shut the fuck up, you hypocrite. Where were you? Yeah. Go let your mama and kids go lay in the bed with him. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Cisco. They better let me go to sleep. Yeah. Eating out of the trash dump. It's almost over, y'all.
I'm going to get an extra 45 seconds added to my time. The committee will be in order. The time
He mad about old
old
Pam Bondi.
Bondi. The Attorney General can respond.
Thank you. The Dow has shattered 50,000 for the first time. This is crazy. They said it couldn't be done in 4 years, yet President Trump has done it in 1 year.
And then remember the stunt Bondi tried to pull 3 weeks ago?
I want you to feel that same
see
way.
how desperate she was.
At your new job.
24 hours notice, the way she tried to get out of her April 14th subpoena date where she's going to be deposed.
They got
by
a
the House
whole
Oversight
nother man
Committee. She
that's
showed
gonna
up in
replace
front
you
of
because he
the
like
House Oversight
boys.
Committee on 24 hours notice
He like the way they
voluntarily. She's like, I'm
milkshake.
showing up to talk
Bring
to you
all the
about
boys
Epstein.
to the
And
yard.
she's like, I'm going to tell you everything I would say at the deposition, but I'm just not going to do it under oath. And the Democrats walked out. They're like, we're not going to be with this charade. Like, we're not going to be there at all. Like, you're just trying to get out of your subpoena deposition. And the Democrats walked out, and then she left, and people are like, so are you going to try to avoid your April 14th deposition? You know, you're still under subpoena. And she was like, I will follow what the law says. Well, if you were going to follow what the law says, you shouldn't be covering up the Epstein files, and you're still concealing millions of documents. Here, play this clip.
Sure. Earlier this month, a bipartisan group of lawmakers on the House Oversight Committee voted to subpoena you to appear for a closed-door deposition. Will you commit to complying with that subpoena and appearing for a closed-door deposition?
I made it crystal clear. I will follow the law.
You
Most
did it last
recently,
time.
Donald Trump said, though, that Bondi is terrific.
You
She's
didn't
proving
the last
how tough
time.
she is. The next
You
3
sit there and
years,
play
she's going to
patty
really
cake,
prove
patty
how
cake.
tough she is. And again, this was pretty recently when Donald Trump said this. So just goes to show you he'll make comments like that, and then he'll fire you in a second, even if you beg the way Pam Bondi was apparently begging. Here, let's play the clip.
telling
of
y'all
Donald
he
Trump
got
saying,
more than one
she's
clone.
terrific. She's proving how tough she is. Play this clip.
Not going to let anything bad happen to this country. Also with us are Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's a terrific person and fan.
He called her a fan.
And she's proving how tough she is, and I think the next 3 years she's going to really prove it, right? Huh? Like these people.
And then I guess to try to save her job before she was fired. Remember, she was on state regime media recently saying, being a citizen in this country is a privilege. It's not a right. It's quite literally a constitutional right if you're a citizen in the United States. But she goes, it's a privilege. This was her trying to save her job. Here, let's play this clip.
Fight about their marriage to get in this country. You can't do that. Being a citizen in our country is a privilege. It's not a right. And Donald Trump is going to have everyone in this country who deserves to be here who's a citizen. And yeah, sure, it could be faster, it could be easier, but I think we're moving at lightning speed given what we're up against.
I'm thinking about the Old Dominion shooter.
So Pam Bondi's days are numbered. She botched Donald Trump's desire to cover up the Epstein files. By the way, did you see our 5:30 a.m. video this morning where we perfectly predicted and called what was going to happen, right? Now they're going to bring in new people. Lee Zeldin, the EPA director, he's being considered to be the new attorney general. Right now, Todd Blanche is going to fill the role
this
of
guy right here,
attorney general. But bye-bye, Pam Bondi.
Bye-bye, girlfriend.
You're fired. See you later, Pam Bondi. And remember, recently,
what's his name?
Regime media recently saying being a citizen in this country is a privilege. It's not
this
a
guy right here.
It's quite literally a constitutional right if you're a citizen in the United States. But she goes, it's a privilege. This was her trying to
It's a privilege to walk your ass out the White House
about their
doors.
marriage to get in this country. You can't do that. Being a citizen in our country is a privilege. It's not a right. And Donald Trump is going to have everyone in this country who deserves to be here who's a citizen. And yeah, sure, it could be faster, it could be easier, but I think we're moving at lightning speed given what we're up against.
I'm thinking about the Old Dominion shooter.
So Pam Bondi's days are numbered. She botched Donald Trump's desire to cover up the Epstein files. By the way, did you see our 5:30 a.m. video this morning where we perfectly predicted and called what was going to happen, right? Now they're going to bring in new people. Lee Zeldin, the EPA director, he's being considered to be the new attorney general. Right now, Todd Blanche is going to fill the role of acting attorney general. But
threw her all the way up under the bus,
see you later.
Michael, and ran over.
You're fired. See you later, Pam Bondi. And remember, recently we saw Kristi Noem fired, and then we've seen everything going on behind the scenes, there with her family and the hypocrisy. Pam Bondi's now gone, and now we're hearing Tulsi Gabbard is basically next. And I think there's a commonality.
All
to
females,
that, all women, in my view. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers.
All female. Okay, y'all. Good night. Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the Trump bug bite. I mean, I'm gonna work on that. Okay. Good night.